Hello, welcome back everybody to yet another daily cooking stream. Today is currently Wednesday. We are live. If you're watching this live, of course, it is 5 p.m. EST. And if you're watching this back at another time, well, hello to you as well. We have a bunch of lovely chatters at the moment in chat. I guess I was a little redundant. Hello to Good Weirdo, hello to Serena Chess, hello to Trash Can Cat Mom, hello to Duolingo, hello to Kitsune, hello to Reggie as well. Welcome on in. How's everybody doing today? Hope you've all been having a really good Wednesday. I am a little off. I have a little bit of a headache today, but hopefully I'll just be able to pull through. I'm pretty excited about what we're making today because for the first time we're actually going to be doing a little bit of seafood on stream. I don't eat a lot of seafood in my normal diet. Also, welcome on in, Dr. Plastic. Hello, hello. Normally, I don't eat that much seafood. I don't really cook that much seafood at home, but I was kind of in a mood for a little bit of shrimp. I had some inspiration from somebody else. Also, hello to Jack. No reason to be sorry at all. Welcome on in. So, everybody, today we will be doing, and you can always type an exclamation mark menu in the chat. I was kind of inspired by like a bouillabaisse, even though this is not a bouillabaisse at all. But we are doing today a shrimp tomato stew. It's going to be really nice. We're going to get some charred smoky tomatoes. We're going to make a French mirepoix. I'm going to show you how to make a really beautiful shrimp stock. And we'll talk all about what it actually means to cook shrimp at home. There's actually a lot that goes into this, and this is something that not a lot of people may know about. For example, I'm only starting from frozen shrimp, and we'll talk about why I only purchase frozen shrimp at home. Modern Ghost asks, do you ever cook venison? I have cooked venison a couple times before. I don't actively cook venison because it's not like something I can easily buy around me. So it would have to be like a specialty from a specialty butcher shop, or I would have to get it ordered in from somewhere. But yes, everybody, we're going to be doing a shrimp tomato soup today. It's going to be really, really nice. We're going to have like this really delicious meaty shrimp stock. We're going to have like these really lovely like chewy pieces of shrimp. Like we'll have a base of like white wine and vegetables. We'll keep it really simple. We'll blend it all down. We'll make it nice and smooth, and then we'll finish cooking the shrimp, once we get the base of it. So let's walk through some of our ingredients. So everybody right here, this is going to be the base for today's soup. We got a little bit of a carrot, okay? So in French cooking, also in Italian cooking, you have the idea of the mirepoix, or in Italian cooking, you have the sofrito. This is an aromatic base that is used in so many different things, specifically not shown here, carrots, celery, and onions. I don't have onions on this. I don't have onions on this plate right now. I have them behind me. But this idea of carrots, onions, and celery, you see this all over French cooking. You see this all over Italian cooking. You see this all over Western European cuisine. It is the aromatic base it is like the flavor of so many different dishes behind it. Do you have to use carrots, onions, and celery? Not particularly, but they all just add something really different to the table. Celery adds like a really beautiful vegetality. Carrots add like a really nice earthiness and sweetness. And then onions have, that classic allium flavor. And then of course we have some tomatoes. These tomatoes, we're going to char them. We're going to get them nice and smoky. We're going to blend them down. They're going to contribute some sweetness, some of that smokiness, some acidity into the whole thing. And then I just had these two old chilies. I have like one Serrano, and then I have like this one green arbol. And I was like, you know what? I may as well just use this up today. We may as well just use them up today because I had them in my fridge. And let's just get a little bit of spice in our soup. Okay. So where did the inspiration for this dish come from? I had a lot of leftover cilantro in my fridge. Also, welcome on in, Sam. Hello, hello. I had a lot of leftover cilantro. So I have some cilantro sitting here. And I wanted to get some cilantro flavor into the stock itself. I thought that would be really, really pleasant. So we're going to get some cilantro into the stock for the soup itself, and then we're going to garnish the whole soup with some more cilantro. And then the cilantro is also going to go into the cabbage salad. And again, this is another key inspiration of the dish that we're making today. I had some leftover cabbage. I have about like half a head of cabbage here in my fridge, and I was like, okay, you know what, we'll just do a really basic cabbage salad. I'm not going to say cabbage slaw because I think that's annoying, but we're going to make a really delicious cabbage salad, and I'm going to show you exactly how to process this. Okay, and now, my friends, the start of the show today, the base of everything, is going to be some shrimp. Do I know what size shrimp this is? Not particularly. I bought a thing of frozen shrimp today. Everybody, I need you all to understand something, especially if you live in the United States. I don't know how it works outside of the United States. All of this shrimp, I need everybody to take notes right now. I want to hear a nice yes, chef. Is everybody listening? I want to hear yes, chef right now. So, everybody, in the United States, in the majority of supermarkets, in any store that you go to, even fish markets, if they have a thing of fresh shrimp, of shrimp that is not frozen, I promise you at some point or another that shrimp has been frozen and that has already been thawed. Very few places will actually have freshly caught shrimp, and if it's freshly caught shrimp, it's oftentimes live shrimp that's sold to you. The shrimp that you get in a case is typically already thawed, and you do not know how long it was sitting there, and it's oftentimes a lot fishier. Okay? So I only buy frozen shrimp. I only buy frozen shrimp because that is exactly what you get at the case in American supermarkets. Again, I don't really know how it works outside of the United States. And then I also make sure that this is shell on shrimp. This was called easy peel shrimp. They have like the vein and the head removed. That's not ideal. Ideally, you want to get shell on shrimp. Why? The shells will be able to make them into a really, really beautiful stock. Okay, we're going to make a really delicious shrimp seafood stock out of it. It's going to contribute all of the flavor into this dish. Ideally, you would want, like, again, head on shell on shrimp. I did not have any available to me at my supermarket today, but this is what is called easy peel. Okay. Great. Any questions about the shrimp so far? I just want to make sure that all of you guys know this. It's really, really essential information, and nobody really talks about this. Okay, this I'm actually just going to keep in my fridge because I want to keep it nice and fresh, and we don't need it for a while. And with that being said, I think that was all of our ingredients for today. Everybody, do we have any questions before we begin? We have to do all the prep. We have to chop everything up. I have never cooked crawfish dolingo. I've eaten it plenty of times, though. And then everybody, once again, for those of you that have not already done so, please check out my Patreon if you can. Exclamation mark Patreon in chat, or you can scroll down into the About section because guess what? I'm here to help you learn how to cook, and I could use a little bit of help in doing so. So any and all help there is appreciated. Okay. I am going to take a little sip of water. Jack, I'm not sure what you're asking. I'd prefer if you rephrase the question. So, chat, let's begin. The first thing that we have to do for today is going to be all of the different vegetable prep for today's soup. So, let's just begin. Let's go ahead and go on over to my cutting board. Okay, my cutting board, my waste bowl. Also, Taza, thank you for the reminder for me to hydrate after I just had a sip of water. Okay, lovely. So, let's go ahead and begin. Let's start by peeling and prepping the carrots, or the celery rather. Everybody, so, this is something that you may have seen me do a lot of times in the past. Okay, this isn't particularly important for when you're cooking down celery, but if you were to ever eat raw celery, how many times have you had like those celery fibers that get stuck in your teeth, right? You can see these celery fibers sticking out the back end of it. This stuff right here, it's like a guitar string. It's so chewy. And so, also hello to the morgue, welcome on in. Everybody, the way that you get rid of these fibers, and again, it's not important if you're cooking the celery, I'm just doing this because I just want to show you how to do it. Just take the back end of it, right, especially the white end from here, and just peel it off. There you go. That's it. And you see these really snappy, these super rubbery elastic strings. Just throw them off. Throw them away. You can also use this in stocks if you would like. I'm not going to be cooking the shrimp stock too long, so I don't really need it for today. But that's it that you have to do. And now you can see you have all of these little grooves where you pulled out the fibers from the celery. We're going to do the same thing to the other one. And again, I'm doing this purely because actually I don't really have a reason to do so at the moment. It's only kind of important if you're eating raw celery. When it's cooked, it doesn't really matter. Okay. Oh, okay, the size of the shrimp in the flavor of the stock, asks Jack. Yes, so the only thing that really matters with the size of the shrimp is how long it actually takes to cook. You can use any kind of size shrimp for this recipe, for this dish today. I just happen to really like the medium to like large size shrimp that you can really feel and get like a nice bite out of. Okay. Also, hello to Justin Fenneru. Welcome on in. Okay, so we're going to need a nice bowl where we're going to put all of the chopped up aromatics in. So, I have these two things of celery. And now the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut off these dried ends. Right, dried off a little bit old. We're going to take each of these, and we're going to just cut them in half lengthwise. What? Did it just snap back at me? I didn't cut all the way through it, and it just snapped at me. That was crazy. Okay. So, we have 4 things of celery, my friends. And now all we need to do is we need to cut this up into batons. Okay, we're going to cut this up into batons and we're going to get a nice fine dice. Now, the base of the soup is going to be blended up. So you don't actually have to be too precise and you don't have to be like too perfect with this today. So we're doing fairly, bigger pieces than we usually do. Right, there we go. We're just cutting this up into batons. And again, we're not looking for like a perfect fine dice. All of this is going to end up getting blended up anyways, but the uniformity of the pieces is going to still help it like cook fairly evenly. So cutting it up like this, and then everybody, all we have to do is just stack it up. That stack is a little bit up too high, okay? And then we're just getting a medium dice of celery here. Small to medium dice. Again, it doesn't matter, you can play around with your, this part, guys, it's all going to cook down. It's all going to blend down in this case. If this was for like a different kind of soup where we didn't blend everything, then I would be like a lot more precise with my knife cuts, right? I'd be trying to get like really perfect cubes so that you like really feel that texture. But in something like this, I mean, this is more than okay. Okay. My hair is deciding to get into my face today, as usual. Okay. That's one little stack. Does anybody have any questions at the moment? So again, we're building what is called the French mirepoix. Carrots, onions, and celery. This is the aromatic base that you see in so much Western European cuisine. You don't have to use all three of these. You can use parsnips. You can use any kind of onion. You can omit anything that you don't want in this. But I just consider it like as the base of like so many of these kinds of dishes. Also, hello to you, ears perked up. Welcome on in. So again, medium dice on these bad boys. Just get them done. Yeah, nothing like too perfect, right? It's a little bit more rustic. And that's completely and totally okay. Lovely. 2 things of celery have now officially been cut up. And we don't actually need 3 separate bowls for the carrots, onions, and celery because they're all going to be added into the pan, into the pot, all at the same time. So you can just keep it really chill. Okay. Next, let's go ahead and do the carrot, my friends. So the carrot, I'm going to peel this up. You don't have to peel it up. If you like scrub it, you don't really have to peel it up. But I didn't scrub this carrot. I just give it a little rinse. So we're just going to peel it. Ooh, Jack, I'm excited for you. I hope it works out. So everybody, I really like having a nice V-neck peeler. There's like the different shape ones. It's completely a matter of preference. And then if you ever feel like your peeler is too dull and you're struggling to get past something, okay, you just need a new peeler at that point. Peelers are meant to be replaced every so often. Matunga Masala asks, can you use frozen carrots? You could use frozen chopped up carrots, but there is a reason why I don't love frozen chopped vegetables, and that's because there is a thing in cooking that I like to refer to as destructive versus non-destructive prep. What I consider destructive prep is to chop something up into small cubes. The longer it sits, the more water it releases. Specifically in the form of carrots as well, if it's like frozen, it's going to be covered in ice, and then you thaw it out and there's going to be a lot of excess liquid. It's going to be a lot more difficult to get any significant browning on it if you were to use frozen carrots instead. Having a nice fresh carrot where it's whole and intact and then chopping it for when you need it, I feel like yields the best sort of like sauteing. So I don't love frozen carrots simply because they're pre-chopped. Okay. There's some vegetables that lend themselves well to freezing, but the ones that you really want to saute and cook them in oil and get that kind of browning, it releases its water so quickly that it doesn't really let you get any of that browning. Does that answer your question? Glad I could help. Okay, carrot. I don't even think we're gonna need all of this carrot. Yeah, guys, this is like a big carrot. So I think I'm just going to use half of this. And I'm just going down the length of it, just peeling it up. Again, if you leave a little bit of peel, it's like fine, but also I think it's fun. It's like a little arts and crafts project to try and get all of it, you know? So just get all of it off. Excellent. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to need, this is a pretty thick carrot. If we add too much, I just feel like the carrot's going to become overpowering. The point of a mirepoix, by the way, isn't for it to overpower all of the other flavors. It's supposed to be the aromatic base of things, right? So I'm only going to use, I'm just going to use like this big half, and then I'm going to go ahead and put this other half into the fridge. Okay, so let me just do that really quickly. I don't really need it. We'll use it for something else at some point. You know what? I can use that probably for the cabbage salad. Now that I'm thinking about it, I could probably just grate it up instead. Yeah, you know what? Let's just use that for the cabbage salad. I think that'll be nice. Okay, so let's also cut the head off, right? This dried off head of the carrot. A knife peeler. No, Jack, I've never peeled anything with a knife. I have no reason to, I think. Also, welcome on in, Bronx. So, Rude Weirdo asks, excuse me, chef, what veggie in your opinion is underutilized? Collard greens. I love collard greens to death. Now, is there a million different case uses for them? No, but you can use them in so many different like Ethiopian dishes. You can use them in a lot of Indian dishes, and of course, American, Southern, and Cajun dishes as well. I love collard greens. I love the taste. I love the texture of them. Okay, everybody, so same idea with the carrots. The only thing is we do want a slightly finer dice on the carrots because they take longer to cook than the other components. And the carrots, we want to make sure that they're not crunchy, that they get nice and soft during the cooking process. So, everybody, really quickly, here's the number one mistake I see people make when they try to slice planks of carrot, when they try to slice up some carrot. Here's what they do. They take their knife and they go down with complete vertical force. And look at what happened. Look at what happened. My knife slipped off, and all I got was this tiny little sliver of carrot, and my knife slipped out. Why? Because when you chop things, when you go with a complete vertical motion down, you're cleaving it, you're guillotining it, but you're not slicing it. You're not using the full surface area of your knife. It cleaves it, and your knife naturally wants to move out like this. So in order to make sure that you have a nice slice all the way through, start from the base of your knife, and you're going to slice it all the way down like so. And then you have a beautiful plank of carrot that way. And we're going to repeat this, okay, and iterate this. You see, that time around is a little bit too much vertical force. It ended up slipping off, and then the end of it got thinner, okay? Or you can just do tip to base. It doesn't really matter. As long as we are slicing. Also, welcome on in, Doomslayer. Slice it, my friends. Slice it. Do not chop it, okay? It's really, really important. And I apply this to every single aspect of cooking that I possibly can. Now, it does get a little bit awkward when you get like this piece. So I just like doing this, right? You square off the bottom so that you get like a nice flat surface. And then you can just do this, right? And that's just fine too. And then sometimes your carrot just sticks to your knife. There's no elegant way to get it off. Yeah, great. Well, I'm happy that I could help in that case. But guys, remember, slice it, do not chop it. You can apply this to every single little thing that you do in the kitchen. So now that we have a beautiful planks of carrot, all that we're going to do, we're going to stack it up, and we're going to slice this. Yet again, the same exact ways that we did the celery, we're just going to slice this into batons now. Like so. Excellent. Are knives with hollows overrated? So, Serena, that's a really good question. Are you asking about the vegetable knives that have like the little indentations and they say that they're less sticky? They claim to be more non-stick. And the answer is, I feel like they're exactly the same. I've worked with a few like knives that like claim to be like a little bit more non-stick as a result. They don't really do anything for me. Okay, last couple ones. Again, we're just cutting this up into some nice batons. Okay, there we go. And then we're just going to divide this whole thing into 2 stacks of carrot, everybody. And again, we're going for a slightly smaller, slightly thinner dice than we did the celery because we really want to make sure that the carrots do cook through, right? They're a little bit harder, they're a root vegetable. Well, I guess celeries are also, I don't know, is celery a root vegetable? Point is, carrots take longer to cook. So you cut it smaller to compensate. And it's fine if you have a couple big pieces. Like that's like chill. It's not a big deal. It's all going to get blended up at the end of the day, okay? It's all gonna get blended up. It's all gonna be okay. So just take this and clean up my station with my bench scraper. Scoop everything up. Excellent. Okay. And we have a other stack. I'm actually just going to move this over here instead, so it's not getting in my face as much. I do love celiac and Justin. Also, welcome on in. Hope you're having a good day today. So guys, once again, we're just slicing through this other big bundle, this other big batch of carrot sticks that we have here. What have I missed so far? Not that much, Soft Mom. Welcome on in. All that we're doing so far is we're cutting up the mirepoix, the aromatic base for today's soup. So some carrots and some celery have now just gone chopped up, and that's it. That's all that you missed so far. Okay, the last step that we actually need for today, everybody, is going to be a little bit of onion. And when I say a little bit of onion, this thing, okay, this camera doesn't actually show you how big this thing is. This is a big onion. This is a comically large onion. I do not think I'm going to need all of this. I think I'm only going to need about half of this thing. Oh, I hate big onions. Okay, I'm going to complain for a second. My mom bought this. I think big onions are really clunky to work with. They kind of like spill all over the cutting board, and they're just annoying. Okay, that's enough complaining. Anyhow, I have this big onion, and I'm only going to need about half of it because I don't want this to become overpoweringly oniony or anything, right? So all I'm going to do, everybody, is I'm just going to slice the head of it off, but I'm keeping it attached by this root end. Guys, look at this thing. This is the size of my cutting board. And then I'm going to slice it in half through the root end of it. Okay, there we go. I have these two massive hemispheres of onion. You can also just use one of these is clearly much larger than another. So this bad boy, I'm just gonna keep him in the fridge. I have no use for him right now. Or for a while, actually. That is a ridiculous amount of onion, Jesus. Comical. Okay, now let's go ahead and take all of these onion skins off. There we go, and then we'll just peel this up over the bowl. Peel it off. Off the onion skin goes. Oh, and also another consequence of big onions, man, it is much more difficult to peel. Okay, there we go. That's a little bit more reasonable now. Half an onion. I have a very large onion. This is maybe one of the biggest onions I've ever dealt with in my life. Just gonna quickly wash off my hands really quickly. Okay, everybody, so we're looking for, once again, a small to medium dice on this thing. It does not have to be perfect by any means. So all we're going to do is we're going to fan out this onion, but we're keeping it attached to the root end. Okay, we're fanning it out, we're fanning it out, we're fanning it out, fanning it out. Oh, that is a big onion. That's all we're doing, everybody. Just fanning out this onion. Okay, and then as you can see, it's all attached by the root end still, right? But it's nicely and beautifully fanned out. And now, all that you and I need to do is just go ahead and cut this up into small to medium cubes. Now, because of how big this is, we're occasionally going to have to just stop and take everything off the cutting board before things start to overflow. You see this amount of onion on my cutting board? That's already getting pretty uncomfortable. So now, so that stuff doesn't start to spill out or anything, I'm going to pick it up and I'm putting it into my bowl, okay? Okay, I need to figure out what to do about my hair today because it is acting up. It is acting up today. Oh, I hate big onions. Look at what they do. This is what big onions do. They just spill all over the place. Oh, there's nothing else that you can do to make this more manageable besides just get a bigger cutting board. I don't have a bigger cutting board. I should probably invest in one. But I live in New York. What space do I have for this? Okay. Let's go through the rest of this. Okay. There we go. That should be okay now. We did it. We got a nice small to medium dice on this. That was a big onion. I did not enjoy that process very much. All right. Ah, and it is stinging my eyes a little bit. Because it is stinging my eyes, that's a very nice indication that, hey, I should probably get my knife sharpened soon. Okay, so, everybody, I'm just gonna quickly wash off my hands. Rinse those bad boys off. The bad boys in this case being my hands. This is our mirepoix. This is our mirepoix. This is a mixture of carrots, onions, and celery. Okay? Carrots, onions, and celery. This is the basis of so many different French dishes, so many different French sauces, so many different Italian dishes as well. Am I following a French recipe here or anything? Not particularly. I'm just talking to you about the sort of flavor that we're going for. Okay? Carrots, onions, and celery. There we go. In relatively equal proportion. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be like an exact ratio that you're weighing anything out by the pound or anything. It doesn't have to be that crazy. Okay. So there we go. And these are going to be, of course, the base flavor for today's soup for the vegetables. Lovely. I can go ahead and set that behind me now. Okay, chat. Let's think about what else we need to actually get done today. The other step that we need for my soup is I also need to go ahead and char up some tomatoes. So let's go to my stove really quickly. I'm gonna go ahead and set my broiler on to high because we're going to be doing one of my favorite techniques, which is charring my tomatoes. By charring my tomatoes, I'm able to get a really, really beautiful smoky flavor into the whole dish. So I need a sheet tray. I'm just gonna go ahead and grab a little sheet tray. Excuse me for all the noise that is coming out now as a result. I should probably just take a paper towel to that. Okay, so everybody, all we're going to do is we're going to chop up a couple of tomatoes, put them onto the sheet tray, and then we're going to go ahead and start it under the broiler, just so we can get it nice and charred and smoky today. I'm just going to, my sheet tray is like a little dirty, it seems. So I'm just gonna hit it with a little paper. Ooh, oh, was this thing just completely, Yeah, that's not a very clean sheet tray, is it? Also, welcome on in, Oblivious. Hello, hello. I am not very happy about the state of the sheet tray, but that's fine. That's chill. Its only goal is to purely char up some tomatoes for us, and it'll be fine. Okay, lovely. So, everybody, let's go ahead and get these tomatoes nicely and beautifully processed up. All that we really need to do, and I'm only going to use, I've realized I only want like 3 tomatoes for this today. I don't want my tomatoes to become overpowering. I don't want this to be like super like tomato forward, super tomato heavy. I just want to be able to get these charred, nice and smoky, and then we're going to blend them down. Also, Oblivious, how'd you find the shrimp? So, 3 tomatoes. Everybody, I'm going to show you exactly what we need to do with these. Blizzard Baby asks, what would you say would be kitchen must-haves? Are you asking about equipment or ingredients? So everybody, tomato, we're slicing it down. We slice it in half through the root of it. I'm going to show you exactly why. Okay. We slice it in half so that we have nice, easy access to this. This is the core of the tomato. What I really, really hate is seeing people take a paring knife and they go into the tomato and they dig out the core. It destroys the flesh and it's really, really annoying to do. Also, Blizzard Baby, I'll answer your question in just a second then. Because that's a very big discussion you're asking to study, which is a good question. So let me finish up these tomatoes. So all I like to do, everybody, I just like to go in and make a couple of diagonal incisions, and then the core pops out a lot easier that way than using a paring knife. And we need the tomato to be nice and cut in half so that it stays flat on the sheet tray when it goes into the broiler, okay? So just doing this to either side, lovely. And again, we're taking out the core because it's a little bit woody. It has a bit of an unpleasant, fibrous, woody texture. Although, technically, because we're going to blend this down and we're going to strain it after, this isn't that necessarily of a step either. Okay. There we go, everybody. That's it, nice and easy. And now we're just going to go ahead and assemble these onto my sheet tray. You see, and that is the beauty of course, cutting them in half. You have a nice flat side to put them down on now. 3 big vine tomatoes. And again, you can use any kind of tomatoes that you would like for something like this. You can use cherry tomatoes, you can use plum tomatoes. Typically speaking, the bigger the tomato, the wetter, the more water it has. Just use what you have. Use what you have and use whatever tomato is cheapest or nicest in the shop at the moment. Okay? So, tomatoes on my sheet tray, going under the broiler. We're going to get them nice and charred and beautifully smoky for today. Excellent. So, Blizzard Baby asked me a really, really nice question in the meantime, which is, what are some essential kitchen must-haves? So, I'm going to start with the easiest one. You need a nice knife. This is my Zwilling Kramer chef's knife. It's carbon steel. I really, really like this thing. Next, you need a nice cutting board. I really like Epicurean-style cutting boards in a home setting because they're a wooden cutting board that's dishwasher safe, and they don't work particularly easily as other kind of wooden cutting boards do. Then, you need a bench scraper. One of these. This is one of my favorite kitchen tools. It's such a nice way of just, I'm going to show you right now, actually. We're just going to come back here. And then, you see how we have like all these little scraps on the cutting board? A bench scraper does a really, really good job of just picking everything up, or, you know, just in the case of like food items as well. Okay, I'm also going to quickly wash off my knife because it's a carbon steel knife and it will rust if I don't get like the acid from the tomatoes off of it, and then I have to dry it off immediately. Where is my favorite kitchen towel? I don't know where it went. Okay, otherwise, I think everybody needs a nice silicone spatula. I think everybody needs a nice wooden spoon. I think everybody needs some tongs. I mean, Blizzy Baby, this is a really, really big question that you're asking. I mean, I have a million different reasoning of why everybody needs each piece of equipment, you know. Okay. Gordon Ramsay isn't a chef comparatively. That's right, he's not. Compared to me, he's not. Not at all. Okay, just wiping off my knife, making sure that it is nice and dry for the next thing that we need to use for it. So, everybody, as a little recap, we're making today a really, really basic shrimp tomato stew. It's going to be delicious, it's going to be smooth. What we have accomplished so far is we made the mirepoix, a mixture of carrots, onions, and celery that we're going to saute and cook down. And then we will also have a lovely cabbage salad. We're about to have a really lovely cabbage salad as well. So we need to shred up a bunch of cabbage. We're going to salt it to get rid of all of the excess moisture inside of the cabbage itself. And then we're also going to just cut up a little bit of onion. We're going to cut up some cilantro for it as well. The dishes today that we're doing is because I had some cilantro in my fridge to get rid of. I had some tomatoes to get rid of. And then I also had some cabbage to get rid of. Okay, and so that's why we're doing this today. And at the moment, I have my tomatoes sitting under the broiler. They're getting nice and charred, nice and smoky, so that we can then cook them down, blend them down, and they'll be really delicious. Okay, let's actually move on to the next bit of prep that we need to do. It's going to be prepping the garlic. We need to prep a little bit of garlic for yourselves today. So, for the stew itself, I'm thinking maybe like, I don't know, 3 to 4 cloves of garlic. Something like this. When I'm taking it off the head, I like doing that over a bowl so that all of the excess skins just fall off onto the bowl and not my cutting board. That's all the garlic that I need for today. Lovely. And then we're going to be using my favorite kitchen tool, everybody, the garlic press. I hate mincing garlic. I hate it. It's tiny, it's small, it's sticky, and it sticks all over your cutting board. I think it is one of the most annoying kitchen tasks. The beauty of a garlic press is that it takes care of all of that for you. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to first take our bench scraper, right, nice flat piece of metal, and we're going to flatten the garlic. And why are we flattening it? We're flattening it so that we can separate the skin from the clove, because that way it peels off so much easier. You flatten it, you flatten it, you flatten it, and I like using my bench scraper and not my knife for this, right? Some people, they use the side of the knife. It's a lot easier to cut yourself, and I just feel more comfortable using a very cheap piece of metal for that kind of task, as opposed to an expensive one. Okay. So, and now, the garlic cloves should peel significantly easier. I should have been gloved up for this, but that's okay. Right, all the peels just come off nice and easy, sometimes in one fell swoop. Okay, there you go. All my garlic cloves beautifully popped out. And now everybody, all we need to do is just cut off the root end, because it's a little bit dried out, but also it's fine if you don't do that. There you go, fully peeled up garlic cloves. And now everybody, we're going to go ahead and put these into my lovely little garlic press, one by one, into my cute little condiment bowl. By the way, if you don't own one of these things, I think you're making a mistake. I think everybody should own a condiment bowl like this. Okay, put that in there, that's 1, that's 2, that's 3. And that should be 4. Does anybody have any questions for me? Any questions at the moment? Jack, are you asking about a garlic press? Garlic presses are really, really cheap. Oh, wait. Are you asking about cheap pork? That's a bit more of a complicated question. I'm not completely sure how to answer that. All of the meat I buy for these streams is typically really, really cheap. Like, I don't buy anything like too expensive or fancy or anything. Okay, 4 garlic cloves, everybody, nicely minced. I'm gonna go ahead and put that behind me. And the only thing that you really have to know about a garlic press is you have to make sure that you're running it under some water and poking out like the holes. Like I have a brush to do that. Makes my life a little bit easier. Because if you leave it as is, it's just going to end up drying out over time, and then it becomes a bit of a headache. Okay? Just put that into my dishwasher as well in the meantime. Okay, everybody, let's go ahead and take a little look at my tomatoes. Let's see how the tomatoes are doing. Because again, they're sitting under the broiler. We don't want them to, char into oblivion, but we're just looking to get some good flavor developed. So, my towel's a little bit too thin there. That's better. Everybody, take a look. You can see my tomatoes are starting to get there. But I want all of the surface nicely charred. I want that skin to be nicely and beautifully charred. I want nice, beautiful, smoky charred tomatoes. So I'm putting it back in there for a couple more minutes, and then we'll, cook it down after. All right. Lovely. So, once again, we're just going to clean up the cutting board, clean up our station as we go. What else do we have to do? Well, one of the steps that we actually have to get done in advance is going to be cutting up and specifically salting the cabbage. Why do we salt the cabbage? Why do we need to cut it up in advance? Really good question. So cabbage is full of a lot of liquid. Anytime you're trying to make a coleslaw, anytime you're trying to make a salad out of cabbage, I think it is imperative for you to shred it up and then salt it heavily and let it sit. When it sits, it's going to lose a lot of its volume, and then it's going to leach out a lot of that excess liquid that you do not want. Also, my camera is really overexposed. It does not like looking at this cabbage. Better. That's a lot better now. Okay. So, we want to make sure that we have a nice big bowl. You want a bowl that looks like it's slightly too big, because the cabbage, before you actually cut it up and before you salt it rather, it occupies a lot of volume. So once it's shredded, it's going to take up a lot of space, okay? And then once it salts, it's all going to come back down. So we're going to first start by making this a little bit more manageable for yourselves by taking this head, and we're going to just cut it one more time through the root end of it. Okay, just so that we have a slightly smaller cabbage sitting on the cutting board, okay? And then this other half, I'm just gonna keep it behind me for now. And I'm going to also go ahead and simultaneously take a look at my oven and make sure that my tomatoes are doing okay before we actually begin doing the cabbage. So, Jack asks, I bought today a 400-gram piece of pork for 8 pounds, but it smelled like soup and tasted weird. I mean, is cheap pork worth it? Yes, but Jack, I don't know what was going on with your supermarket. I mean, all the pork I buy is cheap. I don't know what it means when you say it smelled like soap. Yeah, I'm not really sure what. This is not like a universal phenomenon, Jack. That is something that I can't really say because I don't really shop it wherever you're at. Okay, so we have this thing of cabbage. We don't want to get any of this extra, we don't want any of the core into the sliced cabbage itself. So we're just going to slice it and then stop at this point, and then we'll give it a little rotation. Okay? So everybody, I want nice, thin shreds. And I want you to pull your knife. I don't want you to chop it. I want you to slice it. I want you to get nice, thin, lovely shreds of cabbage. Look at these shreds. Look at these shreds. Like a mandolin, huh? Beautiful. And then every now and then, we're just going to go ahead and put into the bowl so that our cutting board never gets too crowded. Not too thick. Nice. Oh boy, I love cutting cabbage on a small cutting board. I love it how it spreads all over the place. So why pull and not push? Really good question, Serena. And that's because when we pull with a Western chef's knife, we're going from a thick end to a thin end, meaning the cabbage doesn't stick to it. If we went this way, I'm going to show you right now. Well, actually, it's kind of fine in this case because it's so particle, but it tends to stick to your knife. It tends to stick to your knife that way. But when we go from thick to thin, it's like we're sliding the cabbage off, and it doesn't stick as easily. That's why. Okay, so I think my tomatoes are done now. Let's go ahead and pull them out, and we'll take a little look at them. This is the only step of the way that we'll actually need the oven for. Everything else is going to happen on the stove. Let's take a look at my lovely tomatoes. Okay, and that's the kind of char that I'm looking for. That's it. Nice and smoky, nice and charred on top. Beautiful, but not all the way cooked through. They will cook through in the rest of the cooking process. Okay. So, let's keep on going, my friends. And now, because we have hit the core of the cabbage or so. Also, Am I coming to Icarus? I would really like to. Cough, cough, Italian smash scene. Let me know. Because we're at the core of the cabbage, we're just going to give this whole thing now a little rotation and start slicing it up. I'm stanced up for this. We're slicing it up the other way now because, again, the core of the cabbage, it tends to be a little too tough. Also, Nathu, thank you so much for the sub. Welcome back. You're late? That's totally okay. Welcome, welcome. I'm just happy to have you. We're slicing it up. We're getting as much of the cabbage off as possible. Langdon. Oh my God. Wait, is that you? Holy shit, it's been like 3 years. Welcome on in. Well, actually, no, we talked recently, kind of. Welcome, welcome. Hi, hello. I hope you're having a beautiful day today. Hi, 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 hi. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're enjoying the stream so far. All right, we're just going through this cabbage right now for the cabbage salad. Also, hello to Master of Bricks. Welcome on in. So, give this thing a little turn as well. And now we're just going to now finish up the cabbage. We're keeping all of the core in the middle. So we're just working our way around it. Again, this core, it's a little bit too tough. It's not very edible. Okay, so we're just keeping it as intact as possible, but we don't remove the core because it keeps the cabbage leaves all together the same exact way that we do the onion. And now at this point, we can go ahead and toss that aside. Let's go ahead and take our bench scraper and we'll scoop it all up and move it away. Move it all into the bowl. Again, everybody, when you're cutting cabbage, you want a bowl that looks like it's slightly too big. You want a bowl that looks like it's slightly too big because of the surface area of sliced cabbage. It's holding in so much air. It takes up so much volume. But once we salt it, once we get rid of that excess water and the cabbage wilts a little bit, it's going to shrink back down into a normal volume. So that's a lot more, it looks like it's a lot more cabbage than it is. Also, welcome on in. I hope you have a lovely night, Jack, is what I meant to say. Cauliflower stock, or is it too watery? So that's a really good question, Duolingo. There are some cultures that do use cabbage for stock, specifically Eastern European cultures, when we make cabbage soup or so. The cabbage itself becomes a very core flavor of the stock. I find that it's not too watery for the stock, but that it sometimes makes it a little bit, overcooked cabbage can sometimes smell kind of off. It can sometimes smell a little bit smelly. So it depends. I've not really gone out of my way to make stock out of cabbage. I've made a cabbage soup, but I would only cook the cabbage until the cabbage was done. So I would play around with it, but I would be careful about overcooking it because that's how you get like some of the really, really off flavors and all the off smells out of a cabbage. Okay, everybody, same exact idea with this cabbage. We're just going to slice, 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 slice as thin as you humanly can. Okay, because we're making a salad here. You don't want, when you're eating a salad, to bite into a massive chunk of cabbage. You want this to fit into your fork nicely, okay? So you want to slice it, you want to slice it up, you want to give it a lot of love, you want to give it a lot of affection. Give it the affection that you want and the one that you deserve, quite frankly, okay? We're slicing up all the cabbage. Listen, slicing cabbage, it's always going to be a bit of a chore. My biggest piece of advice is just go slow and make sure that you have a big enough cutting board and that you're cleaning off your cutting board often. If you don't clean off your cutting board often, things start sort of falling all over the place. Okay, and now we're at this point. We'll give this cabbage a little turn. Whoop. I just slipped a few times. Come on, buddy. You got this. It's kind of difficult actually getting a nice grab on this. It's huge. Okay. And a little bit more cabbage to go, my friends. Just a little bit more. Nice and thin, all the way through. And again, we're making sure that we're leaving this core here as intact as possible. Okay. And that, for my taste, is more than fine. I wasted a little bit of cabbage, but that's okay. I just get kind of annoyed with this process. All right, and now everybody, this is the most important step. Is everybody listening? I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, from everybody watching. If you're making a cabbage salad, if you're making a coleslaw, I do not care. But if you want a cabbage in a raw preparation that is not just a raw garnish on top, this is going to be the most important step. Good. I'm glad you're all saying yes, chef. I like that. Salt it. It is time to salt it. It is time to hit it with too much salt. This is how, look at this cabbage. It is full of water, and we do not want that water in a salad because that water is going to make our salad soggy. So we're going to take a ridiculous amount of salt and we're going to salt it. Not all of the salt is going to penetrate the cabbage. All of the excess stuff is going to basically drip out in the liquid. But 1, 2, 3, and 4. There you go. 4 big pinches of salt going on now. We take a glove, we take a hand. You don't have to use a glove, it's just that salt can be a little bit abrasive, it can be a little bit rough for my like dry eczema hands. And we're going to massage and squeeze and move. I had some cabbage fall on my foot. We're going to massage and move and squeeze it. And this is why you wanted a bowl that's slightly too big. If this cabbage perfectly fit the bowl, when we put our hands in, it would just easily fly out all over the bowl. You want the bowl to contain it even with your hand and even when you're tossing it around. No, we're not going to salad spin it, we're just going to squeeze out the liquid later on. So we're just massaging, and we're pressing it up a little bit. And you can already see it just by pressing it a little bit, by squeezing it. There you go. That's it. Nice and easy. It's now been fully incorporated, and the only thing that we have to let this do now is just let this sit for a little bit. You let this sit, all of that excess water is going to come out. You want to let this sit for around like 30 minutes or so. Too salty, and that's the way we want it. You want this liquid, you want this cabbage to be way too salty. Although it's pretty nice, because all of it is going to, all that extra salt is going to drip out in the liquid. So it's going to naturally regulate and season itself. Yep, a little too salty, but it will be perfect. Set that behind me. We do not need that for now. Okay, everybody, I believe we can move on to some other steps. Is my hair more of a problem with bangs? It's just different problems, Tarina. We have different problems to deal with now. Okay, so there is one little step of cooking that we can do in advance now, and that is actually going to be making the shrimp stock for today. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take off my cutting board. We don't really need that at the moment. I'm also going to wash off my knife. Let's go ahead and get some of the shells off of the shrimp. So everybody, I want to encourage all of you, when you are buying shrimp, we'll talk about this in a second. We'll talk about the benefits of buying frozen shrimp actually in just a moment. Let me just put this down. Let me just clean this up a little bit. We still have like a little bit of cabbage on my table, so I'm just going to put that into my waste bowl. Okay. Lovely. And this wet paper towel that once secured my cutting board, we don't need it at the moment. Everybody, I have a nice plate of shrimp here that I thawed. This is frozen shrimp. Once again, if you live in the United States and you're buying shrimp from a supermarket and it's already been thawed and it's sitting on like the fish counter or whatever, it has typically already been frozen and you do not know how long it's been thawing for. The older your fish is, the older your shrimp is, the more, fishy it ends up tasting. This is shell on what is called easy peel shrimp. I don't prefer easy peel shrimp. I prefer just fully head on whole shrimp that's not been peeled at all. But this has the head removed and this has the vein of the shrimp removed as well, but it has the shell. Why do we want the shell? We want the shell because that's how we get a really, really beautiful shrimp stock to then flavor this whole dish with. I'm going to walk you through that. I'm going to walk you through that process. And also, everybody, the tails, the shells, and even the heads can be used for the making of a shrimp stock. We're going to cook the shells in a little bit of oil, and then we're going to hit it with some water, and the shrimp stock only takes 5 minutes to make. It only takes 5 minutes to make. The reason it only takes 5 minutes to make, there was a really lovely video done by America's Test Kitchen on this. One of my favorite YouTube series is called What's Eating Dan. And it was shown and it was proven that like the way that you traditionally make stocks, cooking it for an hour, for 30 minutes at least, it actually reduces the amount of flavor. You only need, to cook your shrimp stock 5 to 10 minutes once we start boiling. So let's go ahead and get a separate bowl. Separate little plate, doesn't really matter. And I'm gonna go ahead and glove up. So all we have to do now, everybody, that's right, it is very, very quick. And that's the beauty of it. All that we're going to do now, we're gonna glove up Also, I should probably put my cilantro in the fridge. My cilantro has no reason to be sitting out at room temperature at the moment. Has no reason to. Back in the fridge it goes. We don't need it for a while. So, shrimp. All we have to do, everybody, just to peel some shrimp. And again, this is easy peel shrimp, so it actually just kind of does the majority of it for you. And we don't really have to keep the shells intact. We just don't want to rip off the meat or anything. I'm just going to go through this one by one until, oh yeah, it's already an easy peel, so you just go off the top of it. You don't have to keep your shells intact. I just like pinching the tail and making sure that I leave the meat from the tail on the shrimp itself. Is shrimp bugs? Yeah, technically. Yeah, these are basically ocean bugs that we're eating. Yum, delicious. And again, guys, once again, I don't really prefer easy peel shrimp. They make like a really huge cut in it to actually get the vein of it out. And you're able to get the vein out yourself a little bit easier without wasting as much meat. But I didn't have any other kind of shrimp available to me at my store, so I'm using what I have. Just pinch off the tail, off it goes, beautiful. And so by the way, the best way to actually thaw these is in a bowl, in your sink with some running water on it. It takes just a few minutes, like 5 to 10 minutes of cold, not hot, cold running water. And there's been like a million different studies on it done. It actually really, really efficiently and really quickly thaws your shrimp. And another thing that you really want to make sure of when you are buying frozen shrimp, you want to make sure that it's individually quick frozen shrimp. Meaning in the bag of frozen shrimp, you don't want to see like a block of ice. You don't want to see a block of frozen shrimp. You want to make sure that they're all nicely and easily separated from one another. Because if it's a big block of frozen shrimp and they're all stuck to each other, it's going to be so much longer to actually properly thaw it. When they're individually quick frozen, they're so much easier just to prep up and be done with. So just pulling off the tail, pulling off the shells. And again, do not throw away these shells. These shells are going to be made into a really beautiful shrimp stock. Duolingo has my family asks, can you use pre-cooked shrimp shells for the stock? It would not be as effective because if you think about it, when I said, hey, you only need to cook these shells 5 to 10 minutes, and the time that it takes to boil and cook a shrimp that is shell on, all of that flavor would be probably gone. Also, hi Jay, welcome on in. So just going through all of these shells, breaking off the tails, keeping the meat intact on the inside. Also, by the way, I have a little pet peeve. You know what I hate? You know what I hate more than anything? I hate people intentionally leaving the tail on shrimp for presentation reasons. I hate it. Why is that there? It just makes it more difficult to eat. You have to then dig the meat out of the tail itself. It's so annoying. It is so obnoxious. I hate it. I do not put anything on a plate that is not meant to be eaten. I take it away. I take the tail away. Oh no, oh, the shrimp isn't as pretty. It's not as presentable. I don't care. It's a headache. All right. Great. Getting rid of all the shells. We have a few more left to go. We did most of them at this point. It's okay for lobster, yes, because it does tend to protect the meat a little bit. But, and it is admittedly harder to get off, but honestly, if I'm eating lobster, I'd also prefer, like lobster and crab, I'd also prefer to eat like without the shell. You know what's the most annoying thing? Langoustines. Langoustines without, that were like not shelled already. Like I got served some langoustines and they're really expensive too. And I was like, wow, this is the worst thing ever. I wish the chef took the shells off for me. It was such a headache. Okay, I believe we have 1 or 2 more to go. So again, just pop off the top. Make it drop. Okay. Are you watching with your mom? Okay, this is a family-friendly show. That's why we've been making it more family-friendly at least. Okay, so once again, we're just going through all of this. Going through all of the shrimp really quickly. Oh, there we go. That time I kept the tail meat the most intact. Let's go ahead and do that again. Just peel it off, open it up. Okay. And pop. Ah, this one's being a little bit more, get off my table. Okay. Get those legs off as well. All of those parts, like the legs, the shells, all of that is good food stock. Okay, we're almost done. Almost done, everybody. A few more to go. Actually, I think that's it. Okay, and last thing I'm going to do, everybody, I'm just going to feel every single little shrimp. I'm just going to go put them in my hands one by one to make sure that all of those shells are indeed off. Actually, this tail, I'm just going to get rid of that. Okay, just going to go through one by one, again, because you really don't want to bite into like a chunk of shell when you're just trying to eat the shrimp. Okay, excellent. So, everybody, we have a bowl of these shrimp shells, and that is going to be the basis for, of course, a really, really beautiful and really, really simple shrimp stock. The rest of the shrimp I can just go ahead and put back into my fridge. And now, it's time for us, everybody. We're going to go onto the stove, and we're going to make a really lovely shrimp stock. So the first thing we're going to do, because I want a little bit more of a roasted cooked flavor, we're going to first saute these shrimp shells in a little bit of oil, and then we'll make the stock out of all of that. It's gonna be nice. So, to the stove we go. Does anybody have any questions at the moment, by the way? Does anybody have any questions? Okay, we're going to the stove. I'm trying to figure out, for this amount of shrimp shells, is that going to fit into that? I don't think it will, and I kind of want my other pot for other stuff. So I'm going to get a different stainless steel pot. Use whatever vessel you have that is best. Little stainless steel pot. Put it onto the heat. Nice medium high heat. And all we're going to do is we're going to heat up a little bit of olive oil. Where's my bottle of olive oil? Aha, there it is. We're just going to heat up a little bit of olive oil. Why am I using olive oil? Well, I want a really nice, tasty fat for this. If I were using something like canola oil, peanut oil, those are all neutral oils that don't have a lot of flavor, all of that stock is going to go into the soup itself. And so, I want a tasty stock and I want a tasty oil. So, little drizzle of olive oil on the bottom. We don't need too much. It's just to help toast and cook up the shrimp shells for us. Okay, and again, these are my Charing tomatoes. Don't worry about those at the moment. We're going to make a shrimp stock now. I'm just going to make sure that I have a nice kettle of water that is ready to go. A little bit of oil. All we're going to do is just saute these shrimp shells, everybody. Nice and easy. Not going to take too long. And the only other thing I'm going to do is we are going to get a little bit of cilantro into that stock as well. Have I made shrimp paste? I've never made shrimp paste before, Serena. I've never made shrimp paste. Okay, I do want to make sure that I'm staying nice and organized. I don't actually need this saucepan anymore, I've realized. We're going to make sure that we have a nice little wooden spoon that's ready to go. That we have a nice spoon rest for it as well. Excellent. And we're just getting this oil nice and hot. We're going to look to get our shrimp shells nicely toasted, nicely browned, and all of those really nice aromatic compounds in the shrimp dissolved in the oil itself. Okay. Isn't shrimp paste fermented? I don't believe it's fermented. Then Justin might have other fermented ingredients. Actually, I forgot how you make shrimp paste. I don't know. I forgot how shrimp paste is made. So again, why are we frying the shrimp shells? Well, it is a completely optional step, but it tends to also, like, aesthetically, it takes the color of your stock from like, it tends to be kind of white when it's just like a plain shrimp stock, to like a very nice pleasant orange one, because you get like this really pretty orange color. But then you get a lot of flavor actually dissolved into the oil, and you get a slightly more toasted, slightly more roasted stock. This oil is not going to take that long to heat up because we are working in a fairly thin stainless steel pan. So it's going to take another second or so. We don't need the oil to be like smoking hot or anything. In fact, we could probably just go in now. This may splash a little bit because these are shrimp shells, so they're wet. So we're adding them in now. Here we go. Give them a little stir around. That's it. And just fry these up. Get it nicely toasted. But you don't want to squelch these. So we're going to make sure that we're stirring this fairly often for today. Is that clear? Can I please get a yes, chef? All right. Just move these around. Make sure that it's nicely toasting. It's getting really nice and aromatic already. And this doesn't take too long, everybody. It just takes a few minutes to get it done. The only thing is I have a little bit of stickage. Some of the shrimp shells are sticking a little bit to my wooden spoon. It just takes a few seconds, guys. Okay. Again, we do want to keep these moving around so none of it ends up squelching on the bottom. Right? Nothing is sticking, nothing is squelching on the bottom. The shrimp shells themselves, they don't tend to stick particularly much. The meat tends to stick, but the meat for today will actually only be poaching. So we're just trying to get a really, really nice orange golden color on these shells. Just a few more seconds. I'm really excited about this. I haven't had a chance to cook with shrimp in quite some time. Okay. And then I have some really nice cilantro here that we'll also be using up for this. Ooh. Back to this. Just keep it toasting a few seconds longer. Lovely. Nice and easy. And yeah, everybody, so once again, you do get diminishing returns if you were to overcook your shrimp stock, specifically when we do add it to the water. Because a lot of those flavor compounds that actually make shrimp stock really nice and aromatic and delicious, they tend to evaporate after the 5 to 10 minutes of cook time. You only need 5 to 10 minutes of boiling once we end up even getting there to begin with. Only 5 to 10 minutes. I promise you, you will not extract flavor. You're only going to end up losing more flavor than anything. So this is the point that we're looking to hit. You see how all those shrimp shells ended up firming up a little bit? Right? They are no longer just sort of like sticking. They're no longer, I guess, as like flexible as they were before. Now, we're going to go in with a bunch of water. We're going to submerge all of my shrimp shells. Lovely. And we're going to turn up the heat and we're going to cook this whole thing for about, I'm accounting for around 7 minutes or so. Give it a couple minutes for it to get up to a boil. We'll drop it to a simmer and then put a lid on it. Okay? That's all it is, everybody. And that is how you make a really, really simple, really delicious shrimp stock. Kitchen timer, doing it like 6-7 minutes or so. You don't need anything more than that, I promise you. After that point, you're just going to end up losing more flavor than anything else. Okay, and we're gonna put a lid on it. Put a lid on it, slap a lid on it. Bam. So is adding meal pot to the shrimp stock overkill or out of place? It is out of place because in 5 to 10 minutes of cook time, you're not going to get any flavor out of that meal pot. A meal pot would benefit from like at least 25 to 30 minutes of cook time for you to extract any of that flavor. So I think it doesn't make sense to be adding a meal pot of this. The cilantro that we added, it's only going to take a few minutes for it to kind of just do anything. Right, the cilantro also doesn't like to be overcooked. The cilantro loses its flavor if you overcook it. So everybody, all that we did again, we just put it up, to heat. We're just waiting for it to start simmering and boiling away. I set a timer for around 7 minutes or so. And that's a really, really simple shrimp cilantro stock. And then we're gonna strain it out. Let's make sure that we have a vessel set up in which we'll strain everything out. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get that done now. I gotta get my nice metal strainer out. Wherever it may be, I found you, okay? And what am I going to strain it out into? I need a nice vessel. I need a nice container for this. One of the most difficult parts about home cooking is definitely running out of vessels, running out of different like little containers and stuff. I do that all of the time. Yeah, it's a bit annoying. So I'm just trying to figure out where to even strain this out into. I guess this saucepan would be fine, but it's like, I just have to make sure I'm not like spilling over the sides or anything, and it'll be okay. That'll be fine. It'll be fine. Is it ideal? No. But will it be fine? It'll be fine. Okay. Will be more than fine, in fact. I wish I had more pots. That is one of the difficulties of actually cooking in a home setting, is you just do not have enough tools sometimes. Okay, great. So we're just waiting for that to cook. That's only going to take 5 minutes, everybody. And so when we do the shrimp itself, it's going to be added at the end of the stew because I want my shrimp to really gently poach. I don't want to fry it. I don't want to sear it. I don't want any of that. My shrimp pieces, I just want them really, really gently cooked, really gently and beautifully poached. Okay? And yes, and Justin, cooking at home, you will have difficulties, you will have struggles. Everything that I'm doing here is home cooking at the end of the day, isn't it? So I just wanted to show you all what that process is even like. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get my paper towels nice and wet again so that my cutting board sticks to my table properly and doesn't slide around. But yeah, no, in a way, this is like me just showing off, right? All the different difficulties of it. It's fine, it happens. Okay. Yeah, that'll be fine. I just had to think for a second. Okay, everybody, let's do a little recap session. We're doing today a really beautiful shrimp tomato soup. For the shrimp tomato soup, we have currently on the stove, we had some shell on shrimp. I talked to you about how to buy shrimp, about why we buy it already thawed. We toasted it in some oil, and we added some cilantro, and we're only letting it cook 5 to 10 minutes maximum. We do not cook it past 5 to 10 minutes because then you start losing flavor. All the volatile compounds, they tend to vaporize, and then you have almost nothing left in the pot itself. What else did we accomplish for today? Well, we have this beautiful thing of mirepoix. This is the basis of so many different French and Italian stews and soups. Carrots, onions, and celery. Feel free to omit or add whatever you want, but this is what I wanted in my soup. And we're going to saute this and cook this down in some oil. And we're going to add to it some white wine. We're going to add some of these beautifully charred tomatoes that I have here. We had some tomatoes that we charred. And these are going to get cooked down, these are going to get stewed down. The charred tomatoes will add a really beautiful element of smokiness. And then once everything cooks, we'll blend it all up together and make it really nice. At the same time, what else are we doing? We're also doing this really, really nice cabbage salad. And what did I do to the cabbage? I salted it. I salted it because you can take a look. You can look at how much softer it's gotten and how much liquid is beginning to come out of it. By pre-salting the cabbage, it occupies less volume later on, okay? It occupies less volume later on. We fully season the cabbage and we get rid of any excess liquid that could then dilute and make our salad bland. Okay, the other things that we have to prep for today are going to be some of this. I have these 2 chilies that I wanted to get rid of. So why not just make the soup a little bit spicy too while we're at it? I have 1 serrano, I have 1 green arbol chili as well. Again, because the soup is going to be blended down, I don't really need to chop this up too finely or anything. Although, am I going to take the seeds out? I'm not going to take the seeds out. I'm just going to chunk it up. Guys, it doesn't matter. For this dish today, it really, really doesn't matter. It's all going to get blended down. But the seeds are going to just contribute, you know, all of the heat of the serrano. Did I forget to do gloves? It's over. Chat, it's over for me. That's it. That's all the processing that we're going to do. It's fine. I'm going to touch my eyes and I'm going to forget at some point, and it's going to be fine. GG's, everybody. I completely forgot. It's over now. I'm just going to bite the bullet at this point and accept it. Gloves are very nice to make sure that, you know, you don't sting yourself after. All right. Excellent. There we go. I have 1 serrano chili and I had 1 green arbol. Why am I using this? Because I had it in my fridge and I wanted to get rid of it before it actually went bad. Okay? So, the stock itself is also almost done. So let's go back to the stove. It just needs 1 more minute of cook time, basically. Right, you can see it, it's boiling away in there. It's boiling away, it's simmering. Why do we keep a lid on? Again, mostly to keep the heat in so it doesn't over-reduce. And then something about, like, you know, your aromatic compounds vaporizing and then sort of leaving the pot. It tends to keep the aroma a little bit more intact. Right? Really nice, really beautiful, really simple stock. I am just going to salt it slightly so that I can then taste it after we strain it out. Right, just give that a couple hits of salt and then we'll taste it. Okay. And that's about it. That's been the 7 minutes of cook time. And everybody, this is where we stop. This is where we take it off of the heat. We kill the heat now. Let's go ahead and make a little bit of space for this. That is hot. That is a hot pot at the moment. So I'm going to grab a towel, slide it over here. Excellent. And then we're going to go ahead and grab a little ladle. Okay. Is this going to work out? Let's find out. And all we're going to do is just we're going to ladle everything in. We're going to strain out all of the solids because we don't need them. Everybody, please say thank you to the shrimp shells. Please say thank you to the cilantro stems. They have done a wonderful job in flavoring the stock for today. And we have this beautiful golden color out of it. We do not need to cook it more than these 5 to 10 minutes, everybody. Again, if you want to find out why, really, really good video by Dan Souza from What's Eating Dan. on America's Test Kitchen about the diminishing returns that you end up getting on things like shrimp. Okay. There you go. A little bit more. Excellent. And we are going to need this strainer later on as well. All right. That has been done. That has been accomplished. We still have a few more that we need to get rid of. The only thing I'm going to do... Ooh, whoa, things are getting a little bit tricky. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do, chat. We're going to take this. We're going to put this back over here for just a second. And the only thing I'm going to do really, really quickly, I'm going to take a waste bowl and all of these shrimp shells that we no longer need anymore. Right, you see these bad boys? We're just going to take them and we're going to dump them in the waste bowl to cool down enough until we can put it into the trash can confidently. Right, we have this really delicious, this really, really nice golden stock. Look at that stock. Everybody, look at that shrimp stock, huh? I think that looks pretty good at the moment. Do not drink my shrimp stock, Duolingo. Do not do it. There will be consequences to your actions. I'm watching you. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and get rid of the last of it. Is this cool enough for us to handle now? No. So, towels are going to be our friends. Pick up a towel. Boop. Ladle in the rest of the stock. Just go in. I know this looks a little bit clunky at the moment. I'm trying my best to make this look as presentable for the camera as possible here. Doing my best, guys. Okay. Excellent. And a little bit more. Okay, at this point, can I lift this up now? I can. Kind of. I need another towel, actually. I don't need this ladle anymore. The challenges of cooking at home. You run out of the conveniently sized pots that you need. One day, I wish to have a bigger kitchen. We will see if we ever get there. Okay, there we go, everybody. Look at this beautiful shrimp stock that we have here. Gorgeous. There it is. That's it. That's how easy it is to do a homemade shrimp stock that only took a few minutes. And then we have this really, really beautiful, golden, cloudy, orangey stock. It's got the infused cilantro, it's got a load of salt, and it's a really, really nice way to use up that byproduct in the form of shrimp shells. Do not, and I will repeat, do not buy pre-peeled shrimp. You do not want pre-peeled shrimp, everybody. You want the shrimp shells. You want the shrimp shells so that you can then make a really, really beautiful, gorgeous stock out of it. I want to hear a nice yes, chef. When will I do a cooking stream in a witch hat? I don't think there will ever be a day where that happens. I'm going to quickly rinse out this other pot because we will also need this bad boy later on. Just get rid of the stock from it. We don't really need it. And we will need this pot later on. Okay. Excellent. Chat, what do you think? Shall we have a little taste? Shall we have a little taste of that shrimp stock that we made? Let's see how it came out. It's a really, really nice color to it, isn't it? Nice and golden. It's great. It's wonderful. It's a little diluted at the moment, but I do need it this liquidy because that is about the amount of liquid that we'll need for the soup today. You could have made this as concentrated as you would have liked, but for me, that is a really, really perfect, really, really simple, really delicious shrimp stock. It's got flavor. It's got that toasted, cooked shrimp flavor. Perfect. Only thing I'm going to do, I'm going to slap a lid on it. Don't really need it at the moment. Going to just go ahead and put that aside. There we go. So, everybody, it is now time to begin doing the rest of the stew for today. And so to begin doing the rest of the stew, we will now bust out the big guns, the big tools. We have this big, beautiful Mavier pan here. The first step is going to be properly sauteing and sweating down my aromatics, aka all of my mirepoix, my carrots, my onions, my celery. So, nice medium, high heat. And again, because this is a clad pan, you don't want to heat this up when it's empty. It tends to be bad for the aluminum core on the inside. You want to go ahead and heat this up on a medium heat over time so that you don't have any cold and hot spots. If you were to take a stainless steel pan, blast it on a high heat, you will end up with cold and cold and hot spots. Go in with a generous And I do mean generous amount of oil. Did you see how much oil that was? That was a generous amount of oil. You may be asking me, oh, Daramgar, why do we need so much oil? Because we need to fry the mirepoix. We need to fry the mirepoix. So Tarina Chess asks, can any pans be heated up on high heat without oil? The answer is yes, except it's like kind of for pans that you don't really care about. It's totally forbidden because your pans don't heat up evenly. You want to just heat them up over medium heat for a longer period of time, because heating it up on high, you can do high for a long period of time to still get that same amount of evenness. I would just do medium heat for a long amount of time and the whole thing will be nice and evenly hot, okay? Otherwise, you're just going to end up with hot spots and cool spots. But yes, I don't like doing this for cast iron especially. If you do high heat on cast iron and you heat up for just 2 minutes on high heat, you will have cool zones. And it will be an issue. So, think of oil in there. We're going to get that nice and hot and we're going to be cooking down the mirepoix, my friends. Don't need this ladle at the moment. Let me see, is this pot hot enough? Oh, it's cooled down by this point. It's fine. It's chilling. Okay. Ooh, I need to hydrate as well. Does anybody have any questions for me at this moment? So, here's the order of operations, everybody. We have successfully made the shrimp stock. We've successfully made the charred tomatoes. We're going to start by first cooking and getting some nice golden color on the mirepoix. Why do we want it golden? Because we want to get that sweetness out of it. We don't want just to have quote-unquote sweated vegetables. Okay, so we want to get a nice golden, beautiful color on all of the mirepoix, on all the carrots, the onions, the celery. Then we're going to add in the garlic, we're going to add in the chilies, and then we're going to deglaze the whole thing with a bit of white wine. Speaking of which, we should probably open up the white wine right now. Where's my bottle opening? Also, chat, guess what? Because I'm 21 today, well not, I was 21 in November, but I was able to go to the liquor store and buy a bottle of white wine, and then they looked at me funny, and then I got to show my ID, and I was really proud of it. It was great. It was a very fun moment for me. Yeah, okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this nicely screwed on. It's not my birthday. It's not my birthday. It was my birthday in November. It is not my birthday. Guys, you guys are doing it again. Okay, so bottle opening. I don't have a nice way of showing you this. Guys, stop it. Please stop. It doesn't end. Okay, I don't have to teach you how to open up a bottle of wine. I don't think. I love these little arms. They're so cute. They're just like flapping up. They're so happy to look at him. He's just happy to see me. All right, that's enough. Going insane. So, my oil, I actually think it's properly hot at the moment. We don't need it to be smoking hot or anything. Like me, just need a little bit lesser than, okay? If it was too hot, I'd feel bad about myself. Carrots, onions, and celery going into my nicely heated olive oil. We used half a carrot, 2 things of celery, and then half a massive onion. So get it in there, and let's make sure that we're not wasting any of this mirepoix. We're going to get all of it out. Okay. And we're getting there. Excellent. All right. Give that a nice little stir, and you need enough oil, everybody. Why do you need enough oil? The oil not only becomes, wait, the whole time, have you just been seeing the bottle opening? Why do you need the oil? The oil does 2 things. The first thing is it is a medium in between the actual pan and the food itself. Because of the varied texture that food has, right? Think of all the ridges on a cut up carrot or celery. It's not flat on the bottom. If you were to put it up in the middle, it's not going to have even contact. So the oil is a very nice way of transmitting that. The second thing that it does is that you are essentially dissolving all of the fat-soluble flavors in the carrots, onions, and celery into the oil itself. And then by frying it in the oil properly, we're getting some really nice browning, we're getting some sweetness, and we're evaporating any excess liquid that we don't want in there. So we're developing flavor. So let me tell you something that I hate. I hate the idea of sweating vegetables. You know what people say? They say, oh, heat up some oil on a low heat, and they put in vegetables and they stir it and they cook it for 2 minutes. And they say, oh, we're just sweating it. Sweating it does nothing. You're not developing any flavor. You may be dissolving something into the oil itself. But I think sweating is absolutely nonsense. When I fry my vegetables, I'm doing it because I want to properly fry them in that oil. Okay? So, I gotta finish opening this up rather. So I don't think sweating is real. I think sweating is for people that are too afraid to say that they're boiling something. And guess what? It's totally okay to just boil something. But we want to fry these vegetables. We want to get that sweetness out of them. Okay? That's what we're looking for. So, some white wine here. I'm using a dry white wine because we have plenty of sweetness coming in from the tomatoes, from the onions themselves. We'll have no shortage of sweetness in today's dish. And by the way, you don't particularly need an amazing wine when you're cooking with it. You just want something that tastes like fine. But more than anything, the thing that you're really paying attention to is the sweetness and the acidity of it. The reason why you don't need an amazing wine, a lot of the notes and a lot of the flavors of wine, they end up getting cooked out and it reduces down anyways. You're not really tasting the very specific nature of the wine once it's cooked. Okay? You don't really taste it at that point. So don't sweat it too much. Don't overthink it, everybody. Don't sweat your vegetables and don't sweat the wine either. Okay? So we're just stirring this around. And now, everybody, you can hear that we're at this stage of the vegetable cooking process. You can hear, because it is not a high-end pss, but it's a lower-end psh, that the vegetables aren't actually frying. We're releasing the liquid from the onions, the carrots, and the celery, and we're evaporating it. And once that liquid evaporates, we'll then be able to finally properly start cooking it, or rather building up some color. So when you still hear it with this sound, when it's not a high-pitched sizzle, that is telling you that it is still cooking in its own liquid. Can I please get a yes, chef? So all we're doing at this stage, again, all we're looking to do is we're looking to cook this down enough. We're looking to evaporate all the excess liquid. Does anybody have any questions? It can be about this. It can be about anything that you want, food related, that you would like. Remember, I am here to help teach you learn how to cook. That is my goal. That is my duty. Okay. Hello, Scribbler, and hello to Dr. Slowbro. Welcome on in. And so, guys, we've already accomplished. We have these beautifully charred tomatoes. We have this really, really delicious homemade shrimp stock. You can see how golden it is. It's full of flavor. It's full of character. And now we're cooking down the middle pot for this. Guys, today's soup is going to be pretty phenomenal. I'm really, really excited about it. And then we also have a cabbage salted. And now you can tell, guys, you can tell with the way that the oil is pulling away from the vegetables. Okay? You can tell by that alone that it is now beginning to sizzle a little bit. You just got to listen to the sound. The sound you're looking for, a high pitch. You're looking to start smelling some like the more, like sugar is cooking, like something is roasting. Okay? Also, just got back my digital diploma. Very good job. Very happy for you, Master Brick. Okay. Do I have a preferred method of cooking shrimp, breaded, grilled, etc.? The lingo, it depends on what I'm going for. For a soup like this, I'm looking for a very delicate shrimp. And what I mean by delicate is I mean gently poached. We're not going to boil it to death. We're only going to poach it in the hot soup for about 5 minutes or so. 5 to 6 minutes until we feel like it is adequately cooked through, because I want like a very nice tender shrimp. My one rule for shrimp is I don't like it overcooked. Otherwise, I gotta say that's my favorite way, just like gently poached. I love gently poached shrimp. I will say I do like grilled shrimp, but the issue with grilling shrimp is that the outside of it tends to get kind of overcooked when you blast it with high heat and it gets a little rubbery on the outside. I don't love tempura shrimp usually. I just find like, I don't know, I like a really, really like gentle, like poach or like a really nice grill. Yeah, but grilling things, yeah, exactly. You have to have a grill, and that's not something that is feasible for a lot of people. Yeah, so I guess I really like grilled shrimp if I'm like going out. Otherwise, this is what I love doing. I love having it poached. That's what I'm really looking for. Okay, so everybody, once again, we're just stirring the carrots, the onion, celery, making sure it's evenly cooking. And you can still see it's not really developed any color at this stage. All we're doing is just evaporating the liquid. We're evaporating the liquid. And all of this stuff is going to get blended down and make us the most wonderful soup ever. Excellent. Just putting some stuff away in the meantime. Get all that done. This actually I can probably, oh, that's fine over there. Okay, thank you for being here, Serena. Still, appreciate your presence, even if you can't talk with us in the meantime. Okay. We're being nice and patient, everybody. We're properly developing the color on this, okay? And we're stirring it around often to make sure that every vegetable has a chance to get that color. But you don't want to over-stir this. If you over-stir this, you're not giving anything long enough contact to actually develop that color, and you're cooling it down the more that you mix it. So, in cooking, there is a balance. When you're doing this kind of cooking, there is a balance between stirring too much, which will cool down your pan and not give you any coloring whatsoever and beats up your ingredients, and then not stirring enough. And if you don't stir enough, your ingredients will burn on one side, undercook on the other side, and it'll be a mess. Okay, so it's knowing that balance. So I'm shooting for around every 45 seconds or so, but I'm not going to be specific with it. It is just intuition that you have to build over time. That's all that it is. Go a little bit too long and you'll end up squelching the bottom of your vegetables, especially with your onions. They tend to be the first ones to go. Sizzling away now, the sound is slowly getting a little bit more higher pitched the longer we go. I'm also going to season up my vegetables. And again, guys, we're going for like really simple, really basic flavors today. We're just letting the ingredients really shine. We're letting the shrimp really shine. We're not doing any crazy spices or anything today. Am I out of pepper? Well, I guess I'm going for a really plain soup at the end of the day. All right, give it a nice little stir. Make sure the salt is evenly incorporated. Excellent. Lovely. No, I'm not describing sweating. I'm describing sautéing. Then Justin. Sweating would be cooking without the sake of color, and by doing so, you just end up softening your vegetables. I'm looking for color. I'm looking for those that golden color to really develop from this. Okay, that's the key difference. So we're not just sweating. That'd be preposterous. Okay. That's just going now. Everybody, be nice and patient with it. There you go. It's getting there. It's building some flavor now. It's getting some color. And you can tell with the way that the oil is pulling away now, there's no more like cloudy liquid at the bottom. It's beginning to sizzle properly. Okay, lovely. And then once we actually like get that boiling and stuff, we'll do the onions for the salad. We'll do the cilantro, all that other good stuff. We'll be nice and patient with it all. Okay. And this is the stage, by the way, once that water does indeed cook out, and when there's only oil left on the bottom, that is when you have to start stirring it a little bit more frequently. Okay? It is at this stage that it has the highest probability to burn if left unattended. So just be nice and gentle with it. I'm pretty excited about this today. I don't typically cook with any kind of seafood at home because I'll be honest, most of the time getting seafood is a bit of a hassle. Unless you live somewhere like really coastal where you have access to like fresh fish markets every single day, the majority of the fish that you buy would be frozen. And then if it's frozen, then you have to thaw it out yourself. And then going to a supermarket and getting a good selection of fish can actually be really difficult and complicated. The reason why I like frozen shrimp is I think this is the most accessible at-home seafood to get. You buy it frozen, you never buy it fresh at a counter because it's already been thawed. Okay, you buy it frozen. It takes 5 to 10 seconds to 5 to 10 minutes, to thaw it out under some running water. It's really quick. It's really easy. I think everybody should be doing shrimp at home, and it's something, quite frankly, I'm not doing enough of. Shrimp can just sometimes be expensive. You don't really make seafood since allergies? Oh, I'm sorry to hear it. That is unfortunate. And so, by the way, at the end of this, we're not looking for soup that's like too thick or anything. We're looking for it to be like nice and light. We're not looking for like a thick, creamy soup or anything. Maybe something that's like a bisque, right, in terms of texture. So we'll compensate with as much liquid as we need. We'll add as much of the shrimp stock as it can possibly take in order for us to achieve that texture. It's getting there, everybody. Look how long we're cooking these vegetables. Do you see how much patience we're giving it? So that's why, by the way, one of the most nonsensical things that you can see in a recipe is where they say, oh, saute your carrots and celery for 2 minutes. What saute? What color? Think about how many minutes, think about how much time we're giving these vegetables to actually cook. That's how long it takes to actually get color developed on them. So anytime you see a recipe that says, oh, caramelize your onions for 10 minutes, absolute nonsense. Caramelized onions take like 40 minutes or so. You have to be patient. It's fine to just boil it. It's fine to just stop. But if your intention is to saute it and to develop color, you have to give it time. Is that clear? I want to hear a yes, chef, right now. Please and thank you. Okay, it's getting there. It's developing that color slowly but surely. We don't want to push it too far. We don't want it to be overwhelmingly sweet or anything. We just want it to get nice and golden. Nice and golden. And we're going to have a really nice light cabbage salad after this. You need to give me presentation tips. Oblivious. Are you talking about food presentation and plating? Because I have a lot of theory when it comes to that subject specifically. I have a lot of thoughts on the subject matter. Would you like to hear about it? Would you like to hear my plating theory? Because I have a lot to say. Okay, give that another stir. You can see the oil. It's frying up in all of that oil, everybody. Nice. And spread it out nice and flat. Collapsing in size. It's getting there. Okay, plating theory. So, everybody, let me talk to you right now. This is what I apply to basically every single part of my life that I care about. Anything that I want to put effort into. I am a functionalist. What does that mean? It means that I am putting things together in a certain way for a function first and foremost. Let me give you a way that this manifests. The way that I approached a lot of my cooking, because I've been cooking for a very long time, has been in a problem-solving kind of way. I think a lot of the ways that things are plated are done purely for aesthetic reasons or for the sake of selling a product more. I'll give you an example. You go to a steakhouse, you go to a mediocre steakhouse. They give you a steak, a hot steak, on the same plate as a salad. So what happens? That hot steak is sitting on this plate and this warm plate is sitting there with the salad. That salad, the longer you eat it, it drenches in the juices of the steak and it gets slightly wilted and loses its freshness by the heat of the plate and the steak next to it. Why was it put together? They weren't intended to be eaten together, but they were plated together for the sake of making it look nice. So my number one plating rule is I only put things on the same plate if they are meant to be eaten together. That is my number one rule. And then my second rule is, to as reasonable of an extent as possible, everything on the plate should be edible. Everything minus the plate itself should be edible. That's why I like to take the bones out when I'm serving something. The only exception is when I'm doing like chicken legs and it's like a bit of a hassle to take it out, right? But as often as possible, I never serve anybody anything that they have to take the bones out of. Here's my next rule. Here's my next rule. I never give people things that they actually have to then cut themselves. Here's why. Think about it this way. Ceramic plate, nice metal knife. Your metal knife scratches the ceramic and the ceramic dulls your knife on it. And so you get this really harsh, unpleasant squeaking noise. And let me tell you something right now, especially with something like a steak, I do not trust the layman that I'm serving this to cut it correctly, because the way that you cut it has to be really, really specific sometimes. So the way that I plate things is almost like, like Chinese family style, right? Where it's like everything is cut up, everything is just sort of ready to be scooped and eaten over something else. That is my rule. I hate giving people something that they have to cut on the plate because I don't trust most people to do it correctly. And I think that ceramic plates are awful, awful vessels to actually cut things on. They're bad for the knife and they scratch your plate. So I always approach my plating as function over form. I never include something for the sake of just making it look nicer. So as long as my plating fulfills all those rules, then I start thinking about how do I compose this? How do I start to make it look nice? But if you think about that and you start sacrificing your product, or you start adding other flavors and textures that shouldn't be there, all for the sake of making it look nicer, you've defeated the whole point. And that is my very, very harsh, strong opinion that I've thought a lot about. I've put a lot of thought and effort into actually formulating my opinion on this. So, everybody, while I ranted, I hope that answers your question about presentation tips. My first rule is think about how to make your plates as humanly functional as possible. And then think about how to make it nice. Okay, so everybody, carrots, onions, and celery. Look at the color. Look at the color. It's nice and golden. So, why do we not add the garlic up until now? Well, we don't add the garlic up until now because the garlic would end up burning. Okay, the garlic would end up burning and scorching. The carrots, onions, and celery, they take a lot longer to cook. So, we're going to first start by just cooking the chilies a little bit. The chilies, because they're so finely cut and it's like the green arbol chilies, they don't need that much time. In fact, I don't really care about getting color on this. What I do care about getting color on, though, is my garlic. This has to be the last step of your sauteing, because otherwise, your garlic is going to scorch and make the whole soup bitter. So we have like 4 cloves of garlic going in, and we want to now cook this, constantly moving it around for about a minute or so. And now the smell of the garlic is perfuming the kitchen. Also, hello, unisex. Hello, hello. We want to stir this around often to make sure that that garlic does not burn. It's finely minced, it's full of sugar. The garlic is the most dangerous addition to the integrity of this meal. So now you have the mirepoix, you have the chilies, you have the garlic as well. Beautiful. Everything is coming together, and it smells pretty incredible. Look at the color. Look at the color in this pan at the moment. Look at the color of this pan. Okay, excellent. You can smell everything now. It's all coming together. We're going to give that garlic a few more seconds. We're scraping down the sides, making sure that nothing is stuck anywhere. Okay, and now, before everything burns, this is what is called deglazing, or specifically, we're just using any kind of available liquid to stop this from burning. So we're going in with a reasonable amount of white wine, a very nice dry white wine. Maybe a little bit more. That's it. And now, everybody, we're just turning up the heat, and now we're looking to just reduce this down. Okay? We're just looking to reduce it down. We're looking to get it nice and syrupy. Oof. That's, I don't know how many glugs. But I do want the white wine to be a very important base flavor for the soup. We might be doing something, by the way, depending on how I feel about it. Some people, they like to add wine like later on into the cooking process and in the beginning as well. Adding like a glug of wine once things are boiling a little bit. Or like once it's like almost done. You get some of the alcohol flavor, sure, but you're getting a lot of like the fresh flavors of the wine. You're getting a lot of the acidity of it. Chef, my mom is asking if you're going to blend the tomatoes. Absolutely, I will be. So once this wine reduces a little bit, we're going to add in the tomatoes. We're going to let everything cook with a little bit of the shrimp stock, and then we're going to blend it down because the tomatoes are basically uncooked at this stage. And yeah, my head's okay. Thank you for asking, good. So the tomatoes are basically uncooked. They're just charred and a little smoky. Are glugs is metric? Yes, they are. Good question, Selena. So we're just reducing the wine. Everybody, if you were to smell this, I had to move my hair so that my hair didn't go into the pot. It smells like the wine. It smells like the garlic. It smells like the chilies. It smells like the aromatics. This is going to be a really delicious stew today. I'm really excited about it. I have not, I haven't had shrimp in a while, so it's just a really nice change of pace. And then also, by the way, this is a dish, not to brag, but also kind of to brag. When you hit a certain point in cooking, you can take inspiration from a lot of different places and make something from the ground up. So this was inspired very roughly by a bouillabaisse, but I'm using all the other ingredients that I have in my fridge. This is something that I'm making for the first time today. But because I've cooked so many different tomato soups and stews and fish soups and all of that, I know how this is going to taste, even if this is not a named dish. This is my own shrimp stew, but this is what I'm trying to teach you all how to get to. I'm not trying to show you this as a recipe. I'm trying to show you this as a collection of techniques so that you can then use it for yourself. I don't know what do you mean by a marry me dish? What is it? What are you asking me? Okay. Excellent. Smells great. Looks great. Wonderful. So, everybody, this is the stage where the wine has now officially reduced. We're going to now go in with my lovely charred tomatoes, nice and smoky. Into the pot they go. And now the goal is to cook the raw taste out of the tomatoes, to cook down all of my vegetables. Okay? And just to get everything really, really nice and soft. So all we're going to do is we're just going to take the tomatoes and we're going to just smush them up a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, all of this is going to get blended down. Every last bit of this. I know this pan looks dry. Don't forget about the shrimp stock. Okay, and the tomatoes are soon going to release their own liquid into this party, into this little amalgamation. So just smush them up a little bit. Smush them up, press them up. And now we can turn down that heat as well. We don't need it to be so high. Dumb question, what's the difference between a soup and a stew? The difference between a soup and a stew to me is that a stew is thicker. A stew is viscous, whereas a soup is a little bit more watery. Because this has the addition of the tomatoes and all the stuff that gets blended up, this is going to be slightly thicker than your soup. But I'm not looking for this to be like thick and creamy. I just want this to be silky. Something like a bisque, right? I don't want it to be like a potatoes leek soup or anything. I just want this to be nice and silky today. So, everybody, this is now cooking down. We're going to get all the liquid out. We're going to cook the raw taste out of the tomatoes. We're going to soften up the carrots in this cooking process. We're just smushing everything down. We're going to hit it with two things. First, a nice thing of salt. And we can always add salt later to this, by the way, because this is getting blended up, right? But if this was like a chunky like soup or something, seasoning it in layers is essential. But hit it with some salt. And then one more aromatic element that we're going to add. We're going to add an additional level of herbaceousness with some bay leaves. So count. I want you all to count how many bay leaves you're adding so that you can then know how many you need to take out after. You don't want to accidentally blend up the bay leaves, although you can as long as you then strain it out. It just doesn't blend easily. So no little teeny tiny bay leaves. I just want ones that are big enough that I can then easily fish out. So I'm just adding in whatever amount of bay leaves this is. Just submerging it inside. And we're just cooking down my tomatoes. We're cooking down the carrots. Now, I am not looking for tomatoes that are cooked down as long as a tomato sauce, right? Think about like an Italian, like tomato sauce or marinara. Those tomatoes are a little too sweet. They're a little too roasted. So we're doing only like a 20 to 30 minute cooked tomato so we don't lose the freshness of it. Oh, oblivious. That's not a question I want to answer. That's too many politics. Asking me about hot dog sandwiches and tacos, it's too complicated. Okay, so everybody, this is the base of today's shrimp stew. We have the shrimp stock ready to go for when we need it. This is the tomatoes, the wine, the mirepoix, the garlic, the chilies. We're going to cook it down a little. Then we're going to take out the bay leaves, blend it up, strain it out, and then finish it by cooking the shrimp in there. Now, don't forget. Do not forget something. Guess what? That's not all we're eating today. This dish today that we're doing is meant to go alongside a really beautiful cabbage salad. So remember the cabbage that we salted? Remember the cabbage that we salted? Okay. This is the cabbage that we salted. Everybody, I want you all to take a look. What happens when I squeeze it? Ready? I want you all to see what happens when I squeeze it. I want you to see what happens. Look at all that liquid. Look at that liquid. So that is the liquid that we're looking to get rid of. This is why we salted the cabbage in advance. If you were to taste this now, not too salty, but still a little too salty. Well, it's still a little too salty, but that salt is going to dissipate in that water. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to get another plate in which we feel comfortable putting the squeezed cabbage, and it's fine if you leave some of it. It's fine if you leave some. It's not going to be too big of an issue. Only thing I'm going to do, because I did have the tomatoes, this can get sticky and burn at the bottom. All I'm doing this is I'm just giving this a nice little move around, making sure that everything is as evenly cooking as possible. Okay. There you go. Nice and simple. So, everybody, let's make sure that I just have my cabbage squeezing station all set up. And again, you don't have to be like perfect about this, but it's just nice to get rid of that excess liquid. I'm going to try my best not to waste any of it. I'm squeezing out the cabbage. I'm getting rid of that excess liquid from it. Not squeezing it to death or anything, but that should be okay. Ah, I'd rather not lose more of it in my waste bowl. Yeah, this is the step one in kimchi or sauerkraut, or if you're doing any kind of cabbage salad, right? Guys, I think the step is essential. It is essential. You do not want to skip out on this anytime you're making like any sort of raw or especially fermented cabbage dish. And all of that water also contains that excess salt. So squeezing it is even more important if you want to make sure that your cabbage isn't too salty. Okay? Make sure also that your handfuls aren't like too big or anything. You want it to like comfortably fit in your hand. I know I'm wasting some cabbage, right? Like some of it is falling into the waste bowl, but it's fine. It'll be fine. Won't be a huge deal. Not ideal, but fine. Okay. Keep it going. Ah. Squeeze it like your life depends on it. You see all of that excess liquid? All of that would have ended up in your salad if you had seasoned it. You season that salad with any amount of salt, and the whole thing would have been off. Okay. Also, by the way, for those of you that have not already done so, please try to check out my Patreon. You can type in !Patreon. I feel like this is a nice time to do it. If you want to support the show, if you want to support what we do here, alternatively, you can sub as well. All right. Sorry for the little plug, sorry for the little gas. I'm just trying to get all of the grocery costs of the streams covered, because guess what? Groceries are expensive, and you know, I want to be able to do this full time at some point. I want to be able to teach you all how to do this. Type in !Patreon or scroll down. Okay. Ugh. Okay. Almost done, everybody. A little bit of cabbage still left to go. There you go. Come on, buddy. Out you go. Thank you. And the rest of this water I'm just going to dump out. So all of that water came out of the cabbage. Every single last bit of that water. That's why we do this. That's why we go through this effort, everybody. So I'm also going to go ahead and make sure that I'm stirring this pot. I love causing drama. I love causing problems. I've been known to stir a pot or two in my life. And we're continuing to cook all of this down. Excellent. You can see the tomatoes are now broken up. The carrots are getting nice and soft. We don't want to overcook this. So, now that we have drained all of the liquid from this bowl, we can go ahead and go back in with our cabbage now. It's been squeezed. You can see how much volume has been lost. All that volume is lost, all right? Now, I no longer need this plate. Everybody please say thank you to the plate. Thank you, Mr. Plate would be in order at this moment. Let's go ahead and now do the other step that I think is essential for the salad. We're going to go ahead and get some red onions in here. But specifically, we're going to soak the red onions in a little bit of vinegar. So the vinegar itself is going to naturally go into the salad, but why do we do this? We do this to get rid of the pungency from the red onion. So I have this leftover red onion here. I'm going to cut it in half, like so. And we're going to try to get slices that are really nice and thin. Something like that. And we're going to soak this in a little bit of red wine vinegar. We're not pickling it, but the acidity is going to help kill some of the pungency. If you were to serve this, you know, a couple of hours later, the step isn't essential. It's only if you want to like eat this within an hour or so. Doing the step with the onions and the acidity in advance really helps out. Okay, so that's one of those red onions, one of those quarters rather. And again, I'm cutting it thin. I'm basically cutting it to the same size as the cabbage because you want everything to be the same size for this. Okay. I'm also going to taste my cabbage, make sure it's not too salty. No, it's perfect. The salt did its job. Oh, guys, it's time to get this knife sharpened. That's what it's time for. Okay. Take this and scrape it all off. Lovely. Okay, everybody, we have this bowl. These are the onions that we need for the salad. Did I slice myself? Ow, that hurts. A little bit of red wine vinegar. You can use any kind of vinegar. You can even use lemon. You can use limes. You can use anything that's acidic that you want for this. I'm using a nice generous amount, and I'm just covering up my onions with those. A couple of glugs going in. And again, we're doing this in advance to get rid of some of that pungency, to get rid of some of that acidity, and we're just mixing the red wine vinegar around. Right, just break up the onions, get the vinegar all the way around, and we can go ahead and set that behind us. Let's go ahead and take a look at the soup, everybody. Let's go ahead and take a little look at it. We might even have a little taste at this point too. Back to the stove we go. Give that a nice little stir. You can see it's getting really, really thick, and that's okay. All the liquid is going to come from the shrimp stock. Beautiful. You can smell the bay leaves now too. Everything at this point smells pretty excellent. Guys, are you excited about the soup today? Are you excited about this? I'm excited about this. I know that for a fact. Okay. I'm pretty excited about this. There is one more step that we're going to do. We're going to just lower the heat on this so it doesn't burn. We're going to cook this a few minutes longer. And while that is going for a few minutes longer, we have to do two things. We need to get some cilantro for the salad. We have to get some cilantro for the stew itself to just finish it on top. And we need some cilantro, or some carrots nicely shredded up. So let's do the carrot now. I'm gonna shred up because I happen to have a little bit of leftover carrot. So I'm gonna use it. Where is my box grater? Did I lose it? Hello? Ah, I have found you. All the way over here. What an annoying spot to actually get to. Wow, that is a headache. All right. So again, nice low heat. We're not looking to scorch any of the ingredients. Oh, all the time. All the time. I have definitely forgotten the last bay leaf so many times. Okay, nice low, gentle heat, guys. We just want to get this whole thing nicely softened. All right. So, everybody, I want shredded carrot in the salad itself. Also, you're looking for exclamation mark menu. And also, we don't do recipes here on The Estimated Monkey. I only teach people techniques. So, carrot. I have half a carrot. Let me show you how to shred this thing. I hate shredding things. It's one of my least favorite kitchen tasks, but we'll make it fast. Carrot. I like laying my box grater on the side. Because if I do it like this, then I have to actually pick it off of the cutting board. By doing it like this, and you have to slightly move it and rotate it to make sure it doesn't like slide along its grooves. By doing it this way, guess what? When we get to just dump it out, we just lift this up, and then it dumps out that much easier. That's how easy it is. That's why I really like doing this on its side, okay? I love grating things. This is my favorite kitchen task. I love it. I hate it actually. Anytime I've had to like grate cheese here, it's obnoxious. Okay. Ugh. Okay. And a little bit more to go. We have this one now. This one I'm just gonna lay down on its side. Just get it done, get it shredded up. Flip it over, see if we can get a little bit more. Just minimize, ooh, ow. It's fine. Great. I'm not gonna bother with this. I'm gonna be okay with that amount of waste. I'm gonna be chill with it. It's gonna be fine. Also, Underestimated Monkey, I just read what you said. That's crazy that you called it. That's it. That's all that there is to it, everybody. Some grated up carrot, some nicely shredded cabbage. Beautiful. Okay, lovely. I'm gonna go ahead and put this bowl back behind me yet again. The grater I'm just gonna quickly rinse off so that nothing sticks to it as it's sitting and chilling out. And everybody, please do not forget about what you currently have or what I currently have going on the stove at the moment. Let's head back here. Let's not forget about this, so just give it a little stir. Okay, beautiful. All right, everybody, one last little bit of prep that we need to do. We gotta slice up some scallions. Oh, not scallions, cilantro. I had one job and I messed it up. Let's slice up some cilantro. I'm just cleaning up my cutting board as well. Okay, let's slice up some cilantro. So we need cilantro for the salad. We need some for the garnish as well. And again, this is one of the inspirations of today's dish, everybody. I had a bunch of the cilantro that I wanted to get rid of, and I thought this would be a really nice way to do it. Okay. Let's do a little bit more. I love that tomato bubbling too. I think it's pretty good. Okay. Some fresh cilantro, and I can also take my shrimp out at this stage. We're going to need it soon anyhow. Okay. So, everybody, you may know this. You may have heard me go on this rant before. I hate cilantro stems. I find them quite fibrous. I don't love the texture of it. So we're just going to go through this the best that I can and get rid of the stems. That's right. Chat should tell their friends. They should tell everybody about these streams. You don't have to go like too crazy with this, but just a little bit. Just get rid of like the really, really big, thick stems. That's what I always do. Okay. Ugh, so annoying. Just going through all of this one by one, assembling for myself a really, really nice, simple pile of cilantro. Almost done. Does anybody have any questions for me in the meantime, by the way? We're almost done with the soup, everybody. The last step is going to be blending it and then actually, ooh, that's part wasn't so good. And actually cooking the shrimp. It's going to be easy. In fact, we could probably just shut this off now. That has cooked enough for me. Again, I don't want to like overcook the tomato into oblivion. I'm not looking for like a marinara or anything. It's going to be fine. Has Chef played Juniper in Melee? I have. Yeah, Juniper plays Captain Falcon. We played, I think, just before. Yeah. Do you weigh your ingredients? What is the process? I never weigh my ingredients, Underestimated Monkey, unless I need to. My process for how much I use of each ingredient is purely because of intuition and using what I have. And understanding very like rough ratios. There is very little of cooking that actually demands you to have very specific weight-based measurements or anything like that. So I only weigh my ingredients when I'm doing a specific type of like baking. And even then the kind of baking that I do is like very rustic. I'm not doing like cakes and pastries per se. I'm doing cookies or something else, you know? Okay, so cilantro. Everybody, once again, the biggest mistake that I see people make when they want to cut their herbs is they take their knife and they do a rock chop. Absolute nonsense. You're just chopping and you're crushing and destroying your ingredients. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to take your cilantro. You're going to take it and you're going to all put it into the palm of your hand. You're going to treat this thing, that's right chat, like a baby bird. Everybody already knows this. Even Duolingo knows this. Well, especially Duolingo because you're a bird. Don't sweat it. Like a baby bird. Not so, not so gentle that it flies away, but not so firmly that you crush its little brains out. And then you're going to treat it like a little baby bird. You're going to set it down on your cutting board. And then you're going to very, very finely slice the baby bird. And you're going to pull your knife through it. You're not going to chop it. You're going to slice it. You're going to slice it because if you chop it and you cleave it, you're going to crush the cells of all the cilantro. It's going to oxidize and it's going to lose its flavor as it sits there. So we slice it. And then we take it and we rotate it 90 degrees. And we slice it once more. Slice it. Slice it, slice it, slice it. Do not chop it under any circumstances. Do not chop it, everybody. Slice it. There we go. And we don't need to go super crazy for this because it's just going to be a salad. Okay? It's going to be for a salad. It's going to be for garnish. What do we actually chop or is it all slicing at the end? Really good question. The only things that I chop are really hard vegetables like butternut squash. Or things that you don't really care about. Like if you don't care about your knife and you really don't care about the actual produce itself. Or you just need to get through like something like bone, then you gotta chop it down. The reason why we chop it, or we don't chop it rather, is because when you cleave it like an axe, you use a lot less surface area of your knife. And then it slams onto your cutting board even harder, it dulls it over time, but then it crushes more instead of slicing more on the way down. By slicing it, you preserve more of the cells and you keep them intact without actually crushing it. yeah, it's inevitable that you'll crush some cells, but by crushing too many of them, what happens is you end up releasing excess liquid, or in this case, you end up releasing the chlorophyll, and then the cilantro itself turns brown sooner. This way, we're able to get a very nice fine slice, and we don't destroy the integrity of the cilantro. Okay? So, I'm gonna go ahead and wipe that off. Lovely. But for some things it doesn't matter, right? Let's say you're chopping up bones for stock. You take a hatchet, you take a cleaver or something, and then you go at it a little bit, and it'll be fine. Or like a butternut squash, you need vertical force. The general rule of thumb is the harder the vegetable, like physically harder it is, the more you need to go down on it. It's fine. It's fine. So, the cilantro, we're moving along. It's been nicely sliced. The cilantro has been really, really nicely sliced. Stop it. Stop. Family friendly show. We have mom watching. Cut it out. Stop it. Cilantro. Onto the plate it goes. And we're going to need some for the salad. We're going to need some for garnish. So I'm just going to go ahead and put, a little bit of it into the salad right now. It's fine. Chat. It is time for us to begin the great blending. It's time for us to begin the great blending. We have done every single step of the process otherwise. We have basically finished the components for the cabbage salad. We'll assemble it at the end one more time. I'm just now going to clean up my station really, really quickly. We gotta stay clean because we're cooking at home. We gotta stay organized, everybody. Okay? So we no longer need any of this stuff. We don't need my cutting board anymore. I'm just gonna go take you guys to the stove right now while I clean all this stuff up. And it is time, everybody, for us to blend. We're going to be using a stick blender, an immersion blender. If you don't have a stick blender or an immersion blender, everybody, you have to let this mixture cool down. If it's something like a NutriBullet, unless it's an open top blender, something like a Vitamix, it will steam up and it will create a lot of pressure inside of the cooking vessel itself. So an immersion blender, a stick blender, allows us to blend it without needing to cool it down. We just turned off the heat so that it wouldn't continue to bubble or anything. Okay, I'm just wiping off my station. Beautiful, excellent. Putting a few things away really quickly while I have a second to do so. And then we will begin the great blending of the shrimp stew. Still no shrimp to be added to it yet, but we'll get there. We will get there, don't you worry. Okay, it's time for us to begin. Here's the first step, everybody. We gotta get rid of those bay leaves. Those bay leaves, they have done their job. Everybody, please say thank you to the bay leaves. So we're just going to go in there and we're going to pick each and every single one of them out. We're keeping the tomato skins because that's where all the smokiness is, and that has a lot of the pectins that are then going to thicken today's soup. Okay, and I'm going to give this a little stir around. And again, it's fine if you have some bay leaf left over, but I'm pretty sure. Remember when I told you guys to count your bay leaves? I forgot to do that. So I'm pretty sure there is one bay leaf in here that thinks he is safe. It is my goal to make him feel unsafe. Aha! I have found you, bay leaf. Goodbye. You are now done with. So I'm going to go ahead and get my stick blender ready, but first, let's go ahead and get all of our beautiful shrimp stock that we have worked so hard to make. We just kept the lid on it just to keep it nice and warm. All of the shrimp stock, everybody, that is now going in. Excellent, excellent, excellent. That has now been done. I am going to go ahead and get my stick blender all set up. And so for that, what I like to have is I like to have a plate. And I'm going to get my blender out. Now, where is the blade for it itself? Where is my stick blender blade? Oh, that's a bit of a mouthful. Wait, I actually don't know where it is. Uh-oh, why are they in two separate places? Chat, I found it. Look at that soup. Everybody look at that soup right now, huh? Look at that soup, gorgeous. Okay, let's plug in the blender into the wall. Okay, first thing we're going to do, we're going to start this off on a low speed. If you started off on a high speed, as I have learned Through much trial and error, it will just immediately splash at you. So all I'm going to do, everybody, I'm just going to give this a nice little rotation. I'm holding it down. I'm mixing it around. And so, stick blender safety. You need to make sure that it is actually, there's enough volume that it is above the holes of the stick blender. So you see the holes. If there's water that is right on the edge of it, it's going to end up splashing it. Okay? So, really, really important to make sure that the blade is fully submerged. Get it in there, get it going. Ooh, don't lift it up. If you lift it up, it may splash. So we're just moving it along. All right, we're just getting the big chunks processed. If you see any big things of like the tomato skins, right, don't worry about it. The high speed is going to take care of all of that. We're starting off on the low speed. And now, everybody, you can see the soup is beginning to take form. It's beginning to take form. Also, Tech Dog, thank you so much for the sub. Thank you, thank you. And now, we're going to turn it up to high. Now that we got rid of all of the big chunks. And we're just going to go each section by section, a few seconds at a time. It's going. And we want to get this as finely blended as possible. If you have a Vitamix, it does a much better job than a stick blender. If not, a plain old stick blender will do. Does anybody have any questions while I'm blending? But yeah, if you've painted half of your kitchen with it before, that happened because there wasn't enough volume in your pot. Ooh, still have some big chunks over there. And any of the little lumps, they're all going to get strained out anyways. Tuna, thank you for validating everybody who has subbed. You're my #1 defender, my #1 champion. Just keep it going, keep it blending, everybody. It takes a little second for some movement to develop. You can see the side starting to move in. Right? The taller the vessel is, the quicker that actually ends up happening. But it's getting there. It naturally feeds itself. Okay, everybody, we're getting there slowly but surely. And the hotter this is, the smoother it blends up to. You just can't do a hot blend if it's an enclosed system, something like a NutriBullet. Look how creamy it is. Look at that. Look at that viscosity on the soup, everybody. Look at that viscosity. Chef, do those blenders significantly heat it in any way? They can. They absolutely can. Blenders, depending on the motor and depending on how long you're actually blending it for, can indeed heat it up. For a stick blender, I don't think it significantly heats things up. But if you're doing something like fresh herbs, it absolutely does have relevant implications. Typically speaking, as long as you have like a vent, it won't generate too much heat. So we're going through all of this. We're being nice and patient. Oh, okay. Darling, don't lift it, please. We're trying to get the last of it blended up. We're going to go in there with a spoon and just see, hey, is there anything that should be taken care of? Right? Is there anything that here is a problem? It does not seem so. I'm just going to pass through it one more time. Again, the finer you're able to blend this, the better it's going to strain and the less waste that you end up having. But I really, really want to blend this today and strain it so that we get that like super, super silky texture. So this is why we have the plate set up so that I can then easily remove it whenever we're done with it. Everybody, please say thank you to Mr. Blender. Also, Tarina, thank you for the reminder. Well, I'm glad you're here for the vibe then. Let's taste it. I'm just curious, how does this even taste right now? Oh, that is so good. Oh my God. Chat, that is so good. That is incredible. Wow, that is excellent. Well, if hot liquids aren't your thing, I wonder if gazpacho might be a better fit for you. Okay, we don't need this anymore. this spoon and that spoon rest, that is. Right, that was also in contact with some of the raw shrimp, so get rid of that. Everybody, it is now time for the great straining process. Right, the biggest headache of all today, but we're getting it done, we're making it happen. So, strainer, ladle, lovely. 1, 2, and let's just start ladling the stuff out. Right, you just have it set up. You have your station set up like this. A 2-pot system is the best way to do it. Let's start with just 3 ladles at a time. And then we're going to take a silicone spatula, something nice and flexible. Guys, look at the color. Look at the color of that, huh? Look at the color. What happens if we don't strain, Serena? It's just not going to have as silky of a mouthfeel as I'm looking for. We're going to take a silicone spatula, and we're just going to move everything around, and we're going to just press it through. Right? And it's important to make sure that the strainer does fit this pot. And it does. You can see how everything is nicely coming out. You can see some of the charred tomato skins that didn't make it in the blending process. That's okay. But this is how we get that super silky mouthfeel. You guys are going to see the texture and the taste of this once it's all done. Okay? That was one pass. Let's go ahead and go through the rest of it now. And another ladle, another big old scoop. So yeah, you are wasting some solids, you are wasting some nutritional value. Is this step completely necessary? No. But I just know, because I want to take care of myself today, everybody. I want to get a really, really nice, silky mouthfeel. Okay? In order to achieve that, this is what must be done. Ooh. Very nice, very nice, very nice, very nice. Look at it go. Yep, just press it through. This still has plenty more to offer. Just press it through. Don't overload your strainer at once, otherwise it becomes really difficult. Okay, there you go. And the next batch just going on in. Some big ladles. 1, 2, 3, and then the next one will be the last one. We're not overloading it, we're just making sure that it has enough space to do exactly what it needs to do. Stir it around, smush it around. Just get it done, chat. Just get it done. It's got incredible flavor, everybody. Could I make fruit leather from the pulp? Yeah, theoretically you can if you have like a dehydrator, maybe it's less like an oven. I just think a lot of the flavor of it is kind of, I mean, sure, I suppose you can. I've just never really thought to. Okay, there you go. All of it has been passed through. This stuff right here has no more soup to actually offer. And now, everybody, the last one going in. Also, thank you so much to Oscore for the sub. Thank you, thank you. I'm glad you are subbing even in lieu of the, you know, hot liquids that we were doing today. Okay. A little bit more that we have left in here. I'm just going to take the silicone spatula to just get rid of the last of it, because again, I don't want any waste. Guys, we put so much effort into this soup for today that I don't want to waste any of it. You know what I'm saying? Not a single little bit of it. So all of it just going inside of here. And it's fine if there's some left over. It's not a huge deal. Okay? And push it all out. Last one, everybody. Last pass. This is it. Scrape up the sides. Push it through. This is where champions are made. Okay, that's it. So all of this is the pulp that we do not want. This is the pulp that we did this process specifically to then get rid of. Okay? So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just take my spatula, I'm just gonna scoop it out. Everybody, I would say thank you to Mr. Pulp. He is sacrificing himself for the greater good, which in this case is, giving us a really delicious soup here. Okay, and take that strainer off. The strainer has done its job. Lovely, wonderful. Everybody, let me take a towel and just wipe off. I guess I got some on my edges, which is kind of annoying. My pot here, I just don't want to get this too messy or anything. Guys, I want you all to take a look. I'm going to rinse off my spatula, get rid of the pulp from it. I want you all to see, look how silky this is now. Look how silky this is. You see that? That is the texture that I was going for. That is the perfect texture. Look at the texture of that soup. It is perfect. It is perfect. That texture is perfect, my friends. And that still doesn't have the shrimp in it yet. It is time for us to begin the final cooking stage, everybody. So we're going to cook it in my really nice pan, and not that one, because that's not a nice pan. We're going to put it back in here. I know there's still like some unstrained stuff on the bottom, but it would be fine. I don't think this needs additional fat. I will finish it with a little bit of olive oil, because that's what we've already been using. But it doesn't, I don't think it needs the richness of butter or anything. But you can if you would really, really like to. Okay, and now I'm just gripping that nice and tight. I'm making sure that none of this is going to waste. Right, I'm just scooping all of it up. There we go. Chat, look at my soup. Please look at my soup here. Do you understand how this is just not a joke? This soup is serious, serious business. So, once again, I'm going to just take a towel just to wipe off the side of my pot here so it doesn't like dry up and get weird or anything. Okay? That's been done. This pot has done its job for us too. I'm going to quickly rinse it off, throw that into my dishwasher before it dries out or anything. It gets really, really annoying. And now, let's go ahead and get this back onto a medium flame. Now the goal, everybody, is for us to gently cook and poach the shrimp to completion. We're gonna get this thing on a medium flame now. Bam, that's it. We're going to heat it up. We don't want to have it too hot because it can and will scorch the tomatoes that are on the bottom. Look at the soup. Look at the soup, everybody. Look at this thing. Look at that. Look at that velvety, glossy, smooth texture. It's because we strained it out. It's because we gave it so much love. That is what I'm talking about. We're heating it back up so that it becomes hot enough for us to then poach the shrimp. But we're not looking to boil it. We're not looking to boil it to death or anything. Look at that color. Oh, look at the glint on the pan. I can't tell if this is a Ghibli movie or a Daramgar cooking stream. Wow. Anime food looks so good. Sorry. Anyhow. Okay. That was stupid. One last thing that we're going to do, while that is heating back up, we're going to assemble the salad. We're going to assemble the salad, everybody. So remember, cabbage has already been heavily salted. These onions have been sitting with the red wine vinegar now. I don't want any fat in the salad. I don't want any fat in the salad because I want this to just be like a really, really refreshing, light salad. So we're not even doing any olive oil in there or anything. Right, I'm keeping it super, super simple. Okay? While this is heating back up, I'm just putting my saucepan away. My saucepan has done its job. The only thing that this needs is a touch of salt more, and it'll be perfect. Because the cabbage was salted, but none of those other components were salted. So it just needs a little bit to take it over the edge, everybody. Just a little bit. A little bit of salt. Going in, a little bit. That's it. That's plenty. The cabbage is nice and salty. Everything else will now be too. And we're going to take a little glove, and we're going to mix it in all together. Mix it up. Mix it up. Break up. You see these clumps of cabbage? That's what you want to break up more than anything. You want to break them up, just like my parents and maybe like 50% of yours. Sorry. Break them up. Move it all around. It's for the best. How is that not slaw? Let me tell you why. I don't know why. I feel embarrassed saying slaw. You can just say slaw. It's fine. I just call this a salad instead. I just think slaw is kind of overused, and I roll my eyes whenever people use it. That's why. What food opinion got you like this? Oh, droid. Droid. every single food opinion I've had today. I mean, I have a lot of strong food opinions. Chat, do you think I have a lot of strong food opinions? Okay, only thing that we have to do, we have to take care of the soup and make sure that it doesn't cook too hard and doesn't squelch on the bottom. So this salad is now officially done. I'm gonna go ahead and put it away into the fridge. Give it a little taste. Yummy, perfect. Again, really, really basic. I don't want fat in there. I don't want it to get too greasy or anything. All right. Just scrape up the bottom, guys. Make sure that you're stirring the bottom of this pot. Remember, chat, we love causing problems here. We love stirring the pot here. Look at that. Oh, chat, look at the velvetiness of it. Look at the silkiness of this. Are you serious right now? This is what it's about. Look at this thing. Beautiful. Just scraping up the sides and making sure that all of it is nicely incorporated into this. Okay? Oh, I just have to give that another taste. I think that needs another taste in a second. Oh, that looks really good. Okay? We're just heating it up, and then we're going to finish it by cooking the shrimp in there. And it has plenty of seasoning for the shrimp. Shrimp are already naturally salty. And oftentimes, like frozen shrimp, you can see in the ingredient list, they do add salt to it as well. So mine does, unfortunately, have that added salt. So I do not need additional seasoning on the shrimp. Just putting some things away while I have an opportunity, a moment of time to do so. Excellent. Guys, I'm really, really excited about the soup today. That is so flavorful. Okay. There you go. Excellent. The wine, I can also put away. I'm not having wine. I don't like drinking. Ugh. Especially I don't like drinking wine. Okay. It's now beginning to bubble, right? So we're just scraping off the bottom. We're making sure, again, for the life of us, that nothing, and I do mean nothing, is sticking and burning at the bottom. Oh, I painted my handle. Oh no. You're fine. You're fixed. Okay, great. Look at that. Look at that. Let's have a taste of it one last time, just so I feel really good about myself. Okay. The amount of flavor that has, the amount of flavor that this has is quite frankly remarkable. Oh, one more time, baby, please. It's like she's giving me a kiss. That was lovely. Wow. That is so good. That is so, so, so good. That may be one of the best soups I have ever made, period. This right here. It has so much flavor, everybody. This is why you don't buy shrimp without the shell. Okay? You don't buy shrimp without the shell. You make a beautiful stock with the shell. This is why you fry your aromatics. And this is why we keep it light like this. It's not too thick. I hate soups like this that are too thick. I love the viscosity of this. It's silky and it's smoky from the tomatoes. And now everybody, my final addition. My final addition is going to be all of the shrimp that we are using for today. So now that this is bubbling away, this is only going to take a few minutes. It's going to cool down the pot because of how much shrimp I do have going into this. My shrimps are now being added in and we're stirring it up. And I'm going to put a different spoon rest out so I don't contaminate that ladle. Oop, I should have that over here instead. And now everybody, we're just gently poaching this. We're not boiling this to death. We're not overcooking it until it turns rubbery. So this is only going to take a few minutes. We can always just take one and take a bite out of it and see if it's done. You overcook shrimp and it's going to become rubbery and unpleasant. You're gonna see the shrimp naturally curl up. I promise you, especially shrimp at this size, you can't really undercook it or anything, but into the hot liquid they go and we're stirring it all up. You could have chopped the shrimp if you would like, but I really, really wanted like the nice big pieces of shrimp. And now it's just poaching and not boiling. It's not boiling to death. We're gently poaching it in this liquid. We boil it to death and the outside will get overcooked by the time that the inside is done. By gently, gently cooking it on a medium flame like this, we are avoiding that from happening. And you can see, you pick one up, you can still see some of the outside parts of it turning nice and white, nice and cooked. But we just need to let that go for a little bit. Chat, we're in the final stages. We are in the final stages of today's operation. Are you excited for this? Is everybody excited for the soup? We've done the cabbage salad. We had leftover cilantro. We had leftover cabbage. And we made an incredible, really, really fresh slaw. I hate saying slaw. And then look at the soup. Oh, look at the texture. Look at the viscosity. It is silky. It is smooth. We strained it out. We gave it that extra bit of love and effort. And I showed you all of the technique that went into this. None of this stuff was incredibly technical, by the way. It was just a little bit of planning. It took a couple of dishes for sure. But we gave this whole thing so much love and effort and attention and care. Guys, treat your food the way that you would like to be treated. I treat mine with attention and love and care. Okay? I give it everything that I ever want for myself. If this soup had a Patreon, I would subscribe to it too. That is how I like to be treated. Sorry, that was stupid. So we're gently letting this cook. It's only going to take a few more minutes. We're not blasting with heat because we're not trying to overcook these shrimps. Let's get the plates ready. In the meantime, it's going to be really, really simple plating, everybody. All we need, one little vessel for the cabbage and one little vessel for the shrimp stew. Like a better Alton Brown? Oh, I'm happy to hear it, Oblivious. I think so too. Okay, almost done, everybody. So, nice little coaster because it's going to be a soup. This is where the salad's going to go. I'm going to get my spoon and fork out as well. Guys, you guys excited? Are you guys excited for this thing? I'm excited for this thing. Okay? We're almost there, everybody. You can see the shrimp now just curling up properly. It really just takes maximum like a few minutes of cooking. I'm just stirring it around, making sure it's all cooking evenly. Nice medium heat at this point. It's barely bubbling. We'll get it back up to a little bubble. We're almost there. Almost done, everybody. Also, hello, Paranoid Andrea. I'm really excited for this. We may taste one in about a minute's time. Then I'll feel comfortable just to taste one to see if it is cooked through or not. Having little chopped up pieces of shrimp may have allowed it to cook faster, but it's fine. I don't really care. I like, again, having the texture of like the whole shrimp inside. I think they're very pleasant to bite into. Okay, I am going to take one, just take a bite out of it and see like how it's doing. If it's undercooked, then, I just took a loss there. But it'll be fine. Okay, which one am I feeling? Who will be my first official sacrifice for today? It'll be that one. That is good. Let me see. Yeah, that's done. Perfect. How's that tail meat? Fantastic. That is really lovely. Okay, that's it. That's all the cooking that it needs, everybody. Just a few minutes. I had some of the tail meat in that bite. Okay, everybody, it is time for us to plate. We're gonna grab a ladle and we are going to get a beautiful ladle. I'm going to do my soup first and then my shrimp on top. Gorgeous. Oh. Let's get a couple more shrimp for me. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. That's it. Chat, I want you all to look at my shrimp stew. I want you all to take a look at it. I want you all to see this thing. Gorgeous. Final touches. Final touches. Little bit of cilantro on top. Some of that like really, really nice fresh cilantro, but not too much. We don't want to overcrowd it. And then I'm going to do a touch of olive oil at the end. Just drizzle, bead some in. Come on. Hello. There you go. Just bead some olive oil in because this whole dish doesn't have that much fat in it. There you go. That should be okay. That was just barely beaded in. That wasn't that much olive oil. And then everybody, one last thing is going to be the cabbage salad. I'm going to go ahead and scoop that out now. And then we will be doing our final recap session. Cabbage salad, I'm just going to pile that in. Don't have to go super crazy with it. Keeping it simple. A cabbage slaw, if you will. Everybody, we have done it. We have concluded my gorgeous, homemade, completely from scratch shrimp stew. Do you know how much love we gave this thing every single step of the way? First of all, everybody, thank you all for being cute. We charred some tomatoes for the smokiness. We properly roasted and cooked through a bunch of mirepoix to get the sweetness out of it. We added some garlic and some leftover chilies. I added in my tomatoes. I added in a big splash of white wine. We had some shell on shrimp. And then we took the shells and then we made a really, really lovely shrimp stock out of those shells, and we added it in. We didn't overcook the shrimp stock, full of flavor, blended it all together, and then we finished it by gently poaching the shrimp in it. Look at the viscosity. Look how silky this thing is. It is silky, it is smooth, and it is perfect. Garnish with some more cilantro and olive oil, and then I had some leftover cabbage, I had some leftover red onion. So I made a cabbage salad. Right? Some cabbage salted to get rid of the excess liquid, red onion soaked in vinegar, some shredded carrots, some cilantro as well. Everybody, cheers. Thank you all for being here. This soup has so much flavor. Let's go ahead and have a little sip. I deserve a little sip. I'm just going to mix in some of that olive oil that we added on in. Oh. Incredible, incredible. Live soup reaction. Absolutely incredible. Oh, and let's go ahead and you can see we can just take the side of a spoon to cut through the shrimp. Perfectly cooked. Not rubbery, not springy. I could have chopped up the shrimp, but I just like having the whole pieces. It's a very pleasant experience for me. This soup has everything that you want in it. Completely my dish. Built it from the ground up. Had some inspiration from some other places. But the biggest thing I just wanted to show you all was just technique at the end of the day. Look at the soup one last time. I'm just going to ladle it a couple of times in place. Just so that you can see. It's a really nice soup, guys. Beautiful. It's exactly what I was looking for today. Okay, everybody. That's going to do it for today's stream. Oh, it's smoky, it's spicy, it's a little acidic, it's sweet, it's roasted. You got that shrimp flavor, it's incredible. Everybody, thank you all for being here. I'm gonna go have dinner now. I appreciate every single one of you. If you liked this whole thing, please support me on Patreon. You can type an exclamation mark Patreon in chat. You can scroll down into the About section as well, and it will be there. Alternatively, you can type an exclamation mark tip, or donate, or subscribe even. Do whatever you want. We are going to be signing off for today. Thank you all for being here. Let's see, is there anybody live at the moment that we should raid? I see that Willow is live. We'll go ahead and raid Willow. And that'll be good. Okay, everybody, thank you all for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. Next stream is going to be this Friday, 5 p.m. EST, every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Also, it's not a recipe. It is purely technique. That is what we're teaching you all today. All right, everybody. We're getting Willow. Oh, you'll find out. That's it. You just got to click that button. Thank you all, everybody. Next Friday, well, this Friday, excuse me, 5 p.m. EST as always. Till then, just have a good Wednesday. Be safe. And thank you. Thank you for all the